Go for it.
G'day and welcome to On The Esky, an Australian sports podcast where we wrap up the week in sport, drink a few Denzel Frothingtons and dribble on about the biggest stories in the wide world of sport this week. In today's show, we have cricket. We're getting down to the business end of the IPL. Have the weeks that were in the AFL and NRL NBA conference semi-finals, all series at 2-1. So no sweeps, which is interesting. NFL news, we're a week after the draft, so a few stories have come out. A very, very strange UFC 274 today where Charles Oliveira missing weight by half a pound. That's about 225 grams. We just did the maths. One big steaming shit, I reckon. Obviously, he probably didn't have one of those sitting in him when he was on the scales.
Probably not.
We'll discuss that in just a moment. Or in about 2 hours. And we also have a new women's strawweight champ in Carla Esparza. And the F1 is in Miami tonight or today over in the States. Please remember that we do have timestamps if you want to skip to the sports that you like, or if you're nuts for all things sports all around the globe, just listen to the whole damn thing. We do have YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, etc. Check us out on those. On my right, I have got Monkey Magic, the fastest research man in the Southern Hemisphere, when he's on.
When I'm on.
When he's on. Who are you shouting a beer this week?
Well, I've got to say he's a little bit more lightweight this week and streamlined. So
he's more lightweight and streamlined. Yeah, no Mo.
No Mo. Yeah.
Moless.
Moless. Getting ready for the wedding. We had our engagement shoot.
So when you start
on the weekend and high school, Monday.
The caterpillar is gone. Yeah, you do look quite young. Mind you, I had a bit of a big old Benny Barber going on my face as well. Barber is Italian for beard. Saying Ben Barber coming on my face, probably not the smartest thing to do in the first 2 minutes of a podcast. No. But anyways, we're both a little bit more manicured. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Marks, we'd like to shout a beer to recognise some good effort throughout the week. Who are you shouting a beer this week?
That's it, yes. And this was definitely good effort last week. I am shouting the Tasmanian Jack Jumpers. Mm-hmm. So coming to the NBL first season this year.
First season. Mm-hmm.
Yep, and they made it through the finals. They swept Melbourne United 4-1 to get into the big series at the end of the game. At the end of the season.
4-1, not technically a sweep.
Not technically a sweep, yeah. You're right with that. I did caveat it with the record, but so they are up against the Sydney Kings in the finals. Yep. They are 2 down in that series at the moment. Mm-hmm. Hopefully they can...
So I was going to say, they can still sweep them.
They could sweep them. Yeah. They can sweep the last 3 games.
We're going to change them up of the week or from a broom to a mop. What you're saying is congratulations to them for making the finals.
Making the finals. Season.
They are most expansion clubs don't do that well.
No, exactly. No. Melbourne Storm. Fuck those guys.
Titans on the other end.
It's 5 games in the NBL.
5 games.
Yep. So they've got to win out from here.
Yes, they do.
Saw some chat as well that obviously there's been a lot of speculation for the last few years about an AFL team going to to Tassie, playing at Hobart or something, and a possible sharing of name / club with the Jack Jumpers, getting that going. Okay. So that's the week in Tasmanian AFL chat, which I'm sure we'll talk about for eons.
Yes, I think we will. Yeah,
as well as NRL expansion, which we'll get to. We'll get to a second.
What about you, Peppy?
I've got one, and I feel like a traitor. I feel like I'm behind enemy lines in this one.
Yeah, a bit dirty, but
credit where credit's due. We speculated a lot last episode around the appointment of Ben Stokes as the England Test captain. Stokesy goes out for Durham in county cricket on the weekend and hits 161 off 80 balls, including 17 sixes, the most in county history in one innings, that is. So that's a long time to get that record. It was a 10-ball period where he hit 8 sixes. There was an elite tweet I think I've got the screenshot here. Yes, from Ben Jones at Ben Jones Cricket. Ben Stokes last 10 balls 6-1, 6-6, 6-6, 6, 4-6, 6. Yes, the ball is red. He just absolutely teed off and gave us nightmares of Headingley 2019. Yeah, look, we sort of spoke about, is he the right fit for captaincy? Is he the right man for the job that comes with a lot of pressure, a lot of scrutiny of late? Yeah, it didn't seem to faze him that much this weekend. I suppose the caveat being it's not probably facing, Hazelwood, Stark, Cummins, Lyon, or whoever else he was bashing around in 2019. But yeah, credit where credit's due, and I am a trader.
That's all right.
There's a couple of years there, Ashes. It's all right. We can get over it.
And Shawnee, who would you like to shout a beer? It's a Mother's Day themed one, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. Staying close to home, of course, wearing the Berries T-shirt today. So I'm going to shout out the Berry boys. It is a bit bittersweet, of course, with McStay getting injured towards the end of the first quarter
early on,
for TJ Berry to come off the bench as the medical sub to get a game there, but played well. Probably should have had 3 sausage rolls, but both got a goal in this one, so it was very good to see them score. But then also backed it up this morning. They turned up to the Baker's Delight locally, who was selling the pink buns as part of the breast care awareness. Their mother, of course. Having passed away from breast cancer many years ago, unfortunately. So it was good to see the boys as ambassadors get out, being the locals, after having a big game for the two of them, to then back that up. And, for all the mums out there, these boys love theirs. So, of course, on Mother's Day, I thought it was fitting to share that around with all that. So, yeah. They'll enjoy a couple of beers before they get back into training, and shout out to all the mums as well for the week.
Probably a bittersweet day for him, but obviously good for TJ to be back in that side and, get a sausage roll.
Yeah.
That Brisbane Lions VFL team's pretty fucking handy as well.
Yeah, well, he's been playing really well there, so he's definitely been putting on some good tape. Being the medical sub doesn't really help him too much because you don't, again, not putting on the good tape, but you're like there and thereabouts. But hey, once you get your opportunities, even if it's through, you got to take them. And I would have liked to see him kick 3. The 2 he missed, he basically had all the time in the world, and the goals in front of him. Should have gobbled them up, but hey, he got one. That's the main thing. He didn't miss them all.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda.
Yeah.
Hopefully next time that we've shouted out a beer that they can actually respond to when we tag them on Instagram. Jared and TJ Berry, congratulations on your win on the weekend. And to all the mums out there, happy Mother's Day.
Yeah, happy Mother's Day.
Now, from mums to mops.
Is this 3 weeks running too, by the way?
Yeah, for the 3rd week in a row, we've got a streaker that has entered a venue and got absolutely poleaxed.
It's great viewing, though.
It's great viewing. Well, we are talking, of course, about the Super Rugby Pacific match in Auckland between the Auckland Blues and the Melbourne Rebels. Auckland Blues actually put on 71 in this one. How about that?
So they probably needed a bit of extra entertainment.
A little bit of extra entertainment.
The crowd was probably a little bit bored.
Possibly. It's the home crowd, I suppose. Weather looks pretty dismal. So we've got the video of doing the rounds on the Twitterverse and Instagrams and Meta and whatever else socials that you are on of a big fella. He's taken his shirt off. He's streaking through the in-goal area. Elite slide there to evade the first security guard, and he's kind of taunting him.
Yeah, giving too much lip, I think.
Yeah, giving a bit of lip. He slid under him like Kenny Pickett would do a fake slide. He's gone through with the slide to get under it, more like a 2-footed chop from Kevin Muscat back in the day, and then has been absolutely lit up. There's 2 angles of this one. The angle from the one that you sent today, from behind the in goal is so elite because you can see the run up that this security guard had. He's probably run.
He's got a good size to him.
He's probably run 50, 60 metres and then delivered an absolute dog shot. And I think old mate got knocked out, hitting the back of his head on the turf.
Yeah, smacked his head.
After being absolutely blindsided. Yeah. Now, this is rugby union that we're talking about. What do you reckon? That's 8 to 10 weeks of that shoulder charge.
Oh, no, that's a year's suspension.
That's a year.
Yeah, it's, blindside hit in the NFL, so you get a penalty for that. But in all the Australian and New Zealand leagues, that's life almost for a shot like that one.
So, shot up to that security guard.
Yeah. But we've said it like we said it the last couple of weeks. You step on that pitch, you're fair game.
Yeah, well,
it's what you're getting yourself into. You should expect it.
A lot of people have been like, "Oh, this is like violence on a football field."
Well, what about the dude?
Because the bloke got concussed, and
what about the dude that tried to tackle Chappelle and he had a fake gun that was a knife on him? Like,
true.
Again, these guys don't know what the intentions are.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
I suppose that's the reason. Well, that's why there's a
this,
big fine.
Usually, it's they're just. Yeah, had a few too many tins and they've gone for a bit of a run across.
What an idiot!
Yeah, who would do such a thing?
Just for the record, I haven't never invaded a pitch. A few too many tins, possibly.
Good shot.
He's also he's a big lad,
this
fellow as well.
He'd probably play fullback, NFL fullback.
NFL
for a couple teams.
He's in the front row of any rugby team, I'd reckon. But yeah, he got absolutely horsed. And maybe a lesson for us to maybe talk less shit about rugby. In case
rugby security guards.
Or rugby, yeah.
Well, I mean,
or
if the
just
security guards are doing that.
Yeah, I don't know. We obviously sort of tend towards following the league version of rugby. Obviously, the All Blacks pretty handy. The guys that run security probably wanted to be All Blacks. Back in
play plenty of rugby themselves.
So, note to self: do not invade pitch in Auckland unless you want to get sent into the metaverse that I was talking about before.
Yes,
exactly.
Yes.
Probably any New Zealand stadium, really. I'd probably say.
Even here, like we've seen a few security guards lay down a few booms. You know where Wood is a good place, obviously. Java. Javo never gets horsed, does he? So maybe that's a good place. Not that we condoned pitch invasion.
There was a few reports as well out of the UFC that potentially a lady tried to climb into the ring. We couldn't find any footage of the said thing, but it sounds like she climbed up on the apron and security grabbed her and threw her on the ground, which is probably a good 3 foot. Pull off height wise down onto the ground. So
hard to get into that cage as well. You'd have to
you got to
jump over it.
Yeah, you got to jump up on the 3 foot high apron and then you got to jump over a 6 foot high cage. So it's a bit of an effort, but hey.
Is this real or is this like one of them like rumors like Wee Man died?
Well, I saw the tweet from which I think is more of an official UFC journo. So potentially it happened. We'll maybe stay on channel and see what comes out in the coming days.
The weird thing for me is there's no footage. There's 20,000 people in there and you're telling me that no one had their phone out unless the UFC...
Between fights, everyone's getting beers and stuff. They're too busy chatting.
Yeah, maybe.
That's why she thought she could
also,
do it.
Also, the UFC notorious for killing any videos of live streams, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. Well, maybe security got it quickly. There wasn't that much doing. But again, pitch invaders, people trying to get onto stages. When I mentioned Chappelle during the week as well.
Interest rates are up and pitch invaders are both are up. Both are up.
Pitch invasion inflation is up is what we're talking about.
Yeah. So it's a horrible setup and a horrible joke right there. All right, let's move into some cricket. The IPL, we're getting down to the business end. Most teams have played 11, 10 games-ish, 14-game season, so business end for sure. Lucknow Super Giants, they continue their good run with a win over our Delhi Capitals. There's the usual suspects for Lucknow with KL Rahul hitting 77 off 51 and Deepak Hooda getting 52 off 34. We actually were lucky enough to speak with the Delhi Capitals media team who have had us on a few times. Always a pleasure speaking with them. And I did kind of say that the big wicket as well, this isn't bloody rocket science or neurosurgery or anything that's difficult. Yeah. KL Rahul is a pretty handy cricketer. Getting him out early was the key. They weren't able to do that. Lucknow go on to score 195. The run chase got off to a bit of a bad start. Both Prithvi Shaw and Warner got out cheaply. The Bison is running through his nickname. He's got a big head, little ears, kind of looks like the American Plains Bison. He had 37 off 20. I am talking about Mitch Marsh and Rishabh Pant, 44 off 30 to give the run chase a little bit of life. But Akshar Patel did his best as well, 42 off 24. But they couldn't quite get the Bickies, falling 6 runs short. Moshin Khan, he's a name to look out for. 4 for 16 off his 4 overs. Lucknow looking pretty bloody good.
Yes. Yeah. Did Rahul close the gap to Butler?
Good question, Monks. Maybe grab that up and we'll have a look. Obviously, 77 doesn't hurt him that bad. And Butler, didn't score a century this week.
So I think the gap last week was 200, and that's down to 150-ish.
Okay. 170-ish. So Butler there with the orange cap on 6-18. I don't think he gets caught in those 3 games. 170. Ish.
I think he closed it a little bit.
He did close it. To answer your question, yes, he did close it. I don't think he's going to get that orange cap. He is second at the moment.
Davey Warner, though.
Yeah, Davey Warner. He failed in this game, but he scored some runs in DC's other game this week. So we'll get to that in just a second. Match 47 saw Kolkata Knight Riders defeat the Rajasthan Royals to end their 5-game losing streak. Rajasthan batted first. It was a few runs from Sanju Samson, not much from Josh Butler. Sanju had 54 off 49. Umesh Yadav, he's continuing his really good IPL. He had 1 for 24 off his 4 overs. Umesh Yadav, Yadav sounds a bit like yardage. It's shit chat that we have when we play golf. But if anyone wants a distance or a yardage, if you will, you ask for an Umesh Yadav. So yeah, shout out to anyone that plays golf with me and has that shit chat.
I was going to say that's dismal. Keep going.
I was figuring out where you're going with that.
Yeah, it is. It doesn't even sound that much like it. But anyways, Umesh Yadav, despite our shit golf chat and shit golfing abilities, is having himself quite an IPL. Nitish Rana, 48, Not, and Rinku Singh, 42, Not. 64-run partnership to get the men in purple back for their first win in 5 games. Match 48, we saw Punjab Kings defeat the Gujarat Titans. This one was a close one. Sai Sudhasan, I think I've said that right, 65 off 50, the only Titan to make a decent contribution in a pretty underwhelming score there. I think he's on IPL minimum wage, which is... I think it's about $26,000 US.
Yeah, it's not a lot.
So compared to some of the guys on the big bucks,
who aren't playing as well.
pretty impressive. Pretty impressive.
Definitely.
So shout out to Sai there. Maybe he'll get himself a bit of a better contract next year. Anyways, Kasigo Rabada, back to his best for Punjab. He had 4 for 33, the former Delhi Capital. And he's up to 18 wickets for the tournament, so 3rd in the purple cap race. Shikhar Dhawan, 62, Not. Liam Livingston, 30 off 10, showing why he's the highest paid foreigner in the IPL. Help the Kings cruise.
Shikhar Dhawan, back on him, he's 3rd.
Yeah, he's 3rd in that orange cap race. What have you got there, Monks? He's
still a long way behind there.
A long way behind KL Rahul with 381 runs, so 70 runs behind second. So just a testament really to how well Josh Butler's been playing this tournament.
Well, I think we can talk when we get to Davey Warner. I think that number and the fact he's played 3 less games is very impressive.
Indeed, the bull. We'll get to him in 1 second. We will talk first about Royal Challengers Bangalore getting a win and getting some contribution from their sticks and an even contribution.
Well, the big name sticks.
Yeah, Faf 38.
We've been struggling with
Virat
Golden Ducks
30, and not a big name in Mahipal Lomro. Love our Indian fans to let us know who the hell that guy is. 42 of 27. And RCB were able to get the 13-run victory. A few wickets there for Mahesh Thikshana and Moeen Ali. Devon Conway, 56, and Ruturaj Gaikwad, 28. Got the Kings off to the Super Kings, I should say, off to a good start, but they weren't able to get the bickies. Our boy Josh Hazlewood continues his good bowling form. He had 1 for 19 off 4 overs.
Yeah,
now,
he might not be getting wickets at the moment, but his economy has been so
unbelievable.
Good,
And it's interesting because we're about to talk about Dave Warner.
Yeah.
And last week we were talking about, who's been the best Aussie in the IPL so far?
Yeah.
And it's these 2 guys.
Yep.
And they've both had stellar weeks again. So let's talk about match 50. The Delhi Capitals go out and they make 3 for 207, an absolute revenge game for David Warner. We spoke about
Monk's just pulled out the best economy, and Hazlewood's not in the top 10. But we'll keep going.
Well, he's 12. Look, he's 12. He's been bowling. He's bowling at 7.2 and over. Interesting that Glenn Maxwell, his economy at 6.9 there. So Josh Hazlewood is bowling the second best economy out of the Aussies in the IPL.
Yeah.
So look.
Maxwell hasn't bowled as much though.
Yeah, and he's not a specialist bowler. Hazelwood's missed out on a few games. Yeah, I don't know. It's still worth it. Worth a nom.
For Australians, yes.
Yeah, and look, his 11 wickets.
Considering his comparison with Cummins as a direct Australian
Cummins has been getting spanked.
Yes, exactly.
hot boy, love him, absolutely love him.
Getting spanked.
But he's been getting spanked.
Unfortunately, Bus.
Yeah, but also visions of hot boy Cummins getting spanked also, not that bad for me if I want to put it in a kind of pseudo-homoerotic way. Now, I think David Warner definitely took pole position in best Aussies in the comp so far. Yeah. So he's up against his old club in Sunrisers Hyderabad. We spoke at length last season about the messy divorce, if you will. Was on the big bucks at Sunrisers, wasn't really performing, ended up getting dropped. And had the captaincy and that getting stripped off him, given to Kane Williamson. So messy divorce. He goes back to Delhi Capitals, where he made his IPL debut when they were the Delhi Daredevils back in the day. And he went out in this one and made 90 odd. Can you bring up 92 or 58? Sorry, I've got it right in front of me. Don't need to bring up shit. And he actually has a chat with Rovman Powell, who we've spoken about his ability with putting balls over fences, and David Warner unselfishly said, "Look, I don't need the strike. I want to do what's best for the team here. You go out and just smash it.
You've been hot, so.
And Robin Powell goes out and hits 3 4s and a 6, and Warner and him celebrate 207. That's Delhi's highest score so far in this IPL." Sunrisers, there was a caveat. They were out T. Natarajan and Marco Janssen, their best 2 quicks, and poor Umran Malik, he got a bit of punishment, none for 52 off his 4. Aiden Markram had 42, Nicholas Puran 62. They were never out of it, but they never really looked like winning it, and they went down by 19 runs. Now, this is an interesting one. Anrik Nordkjær, I hope we're saying that right. Nordkjær. Any South African listeners get at us? I don't know if we've got any on that continent just yet. He was back, but he took Mustafir Rahman's international spot and the Fizz. He's a very popular character. He's one of the elite Bangladeshi quick in the IPL and has been playing pretty well for Delhi. Interesting for him to lose his spot. They wanted Rovman Powell and Davey Warner, and then it would have
strong squad.
It would have been Mitch Marsh that would have had to pave the way, and they ended up being with the Fizz going. I suppose it's like for like. Yeah. You're taking one really good quick out for another really good quick. But yeah, if there's any fans of the Fizz listening, get at us in the comments and let us know.
Any management maybe? Yeah.
I don't think he was hurt.
Rest him a little bit. And like on a pitch count as well.
Load management?
Yeah.
I don't know. I imagine because they're Delhi's right on the cusp.
They're competing. They're 500, aren't they?
They're 5th, and it's top 4 goes in. Yeah. So I don't think you shouldn't want to be doing any kind of management. I think it was just a healthy scratching. So that's an interesting one for the highly popular Fizz. Anyway, Delhi Cap's getting a win. Warner makes runs. He is 4th. On that orange cap there.
So I think it's interesting we talk here about Warner because we mentioned, of course, Josh Butler, 11 matches, 11 innings for 618. Warner's played 8 matches, 8 innings for 356. But I think the impressive thing is the averages there. Josh, of course, at 61.8.
Yep.
And then you got Davey Warner at 59.39. But Davey's probably the only one on that list.
He's the only one within
besides Dave Miller down the bottom there at 15.
But look at Dave Miller and Aiden Markram, 6 not outs for Dave Miller, 4 not outs for Aiden Markram. So that's really why their average is very high, is elite. Yeah. So in terms of bang for buck in the 8 games that Warner's played, he's not quite on Josh Butler level,
but he's up there. Like he's in the conversation.
Definitely.
Very, very happy to see Dave Warner getting runs again. So.
And so many people like to just still shit on him, this and that. You're like, shut up! Like he's still one of the best white ball players in the world.
Yeah.
And he had a down season last year for the IPL. Yes, there was Sandpaper Gate a few years ago. Everyone loves to bring up that one.
Been through a lot.
Yeah, I don't know. He's still
Well, you look at
he's
that-
still an elite cricketer.
Yeah. Well, you look at that top 10 list. There's a lot of elite cricketers in there, and he's currently in fourth, having a 3-game.
Yeah, giving a 3-game head
him.
start to guys like De Kock and Hardik and Abhishek Sharma, who himself's having a bit of a breakout year. But yeah, good to see the bull, the reverend, the little man from the eastern suburbs out there scoring runs back where it all started for him in Delhi. Well, it didn't really start for him there. That's where his IPL journey started for him, I should say. Anyways, we've got 3 more matches to get through. Match 51, the Mumbai Indians got their second win of the tournament, defeating the Gujarat Titans. Indians bat first. Rohit makes a few runs. He's been struggling a fair bit. Can't see his name there in the top 20 sticks. Ishan Kishan, 43. So keeping or getting back into a bit of the early form that he showed in the IPL. We saw Tim David, his hitting ability, 44 not off 21. He's starting to look like that finisher. You know, they paid over $1 million for him. So it's good for us as Aussie fans, I suppose. Well, he's Singaporean, but I'm sure the Australian Cricket Board could have some.
His name's Tim David. He's
how Singaporean is he without sounding too racist, I guess?
he's got 2 first names, bro. So.
This guy's name's James Webster. Our half Hong Konger friend. But it will be interesting to see, does the ACB make a play at Tim David? I don't think he's in our best 11
for T20, yeah.
For T20, but if you're getting big money in the IPL, they must see something. They must see something. So it'll be interesting. I think you look down, into the crystal ball and say we're looking back in 2 years' time. I think Tim David ends up playing white ball cricket for Australia.
Yeah, well, he could be in, that World Cup side at the end of the year, like not side squad. So he could be in the 20 so guys that take over there potentially. He's here. He could be the 20th man in that.
Over there from Singapore to here. Yeah, it's good to see him. We haven't seen a huge knock out of him, but that's not what he's there for.
We want to see progression through the rest of the IPL.
Well,
so
it's
he
not,
can
but
be
it's
in
not
that
his role. We're talking about Rovman Powell before.
A solid role, like his progression within his role. So you want to see him be consistent, be putting what he needs to do, again, putting that film on tape so the Australian selectors can go, yep, he's looking like there's something there. Let's invest some time in him. Let's put him in the squad so he's around the boys. So for like you're saying, in 2 years down the track, he's potentially in that top 11.
Yeah, and he can come out and bat middle order and strike at 180 and give you that quick 540 off 20.
Yep.
So Indians get the win there. Match 52, Rajasthan Royals beat the Punjab Kings. Johnny Bairstow of getting abused at the SCG for being overweight fame opened in place of Mayank Agarwal and top scored with 56. Uzi Chahal, the pick of the Rajasthan Royals bowlers again with 3 for 28. He sits 4 clear in the purple cap race with 22 wickets. Pretty hard to see him being caught. If you wouldn't mind just jumping over there. Yeah. So Yuzvendra Chahal, 11 matches, 11 innings, 22 wickets at 7.25. He is 4 poles ahead of Kuldeep Yadav and Kasigo and Rabada. What did you say?
I said he's a full yard ahead of him because I'm going back to your shit chat here.
Yeah, or different Yadav, bro. That's Kuldeep, and the chat is around Umesh. Why Umesh got selected over Kuldeep for our range finding chat is interesting. I'm not sure.
That's too funny. Is that a game in hand, or has he just played one less match Yadav there?
If you jump over the table and see, I think Delhi do have a game in hand. Whilst you bring that up, I'll bring up match 53.
Correct, they do.
Lucknow Super Giants, they smashed Kolkata last night. Lucknow batted first, made 176. Quinton de Kock continues his good form, 50 of 29. Deepak Hood also in good form, 41 of 27. KL Rahul, diamond dunk. Poor fella. That doesn't help his orange cap aspirations. And then KKR just never got going. There was a wicket maiden from Moshin Khan. We've seen him have a really good week. The top order fail for KKR again. Dre Russ, he's been their best player probably this IPL. 45 off 19, got him to the triple digits. Lucknow actually sit equal first place with Gujarat. So the two new franchises in 1 and 2. Marks, if you wouldn't mind just bringing up that table.
Is it the Giants? The Giants just took the top as well because of the run rate.
Yeah,
so the Titans I think have been sitting there and
the whole tournament.
They've just dropped 2 games in a row. So
yeah, exactly right. So the Gujarat had been sitting on top all tournament, but Lucknow's actually overtaken them on net run rate. So they've both played 11. They're both 8 and 3. Rajasthan's played 11. They're 7 and 4. Then
with 3 games to go, they're definites, aren't they? Those 2 at the moment.
Yeah, you'd say those 2 are definites. In fact, no, you wouldn't say. I think mathematically they are. It would have to come down to.
If Caps win all 3 by big scores, then yes, they could potentially overtake.
Mathematically, not definite. Probability says
9 out of 10.
That'd be definite. Now, where it gets interesting is this kind of battle for 3rd and 4th. We've got the Rajasthan Royals, who are on 14 points, 7 wins, 4 losses. Royal Challengers Bangalore, 6 wins, 5 losses. Delhi Capitals, with that game in hand that we just mentioned, they're 5 and 5 on 10 points, but the net run rate is good. And then Sunrisers Hyderabad also on 5 and 5.
I loved last week. We were saying, hey, they're back on the track. They've won 2 in a row and they've lost 3 straight since then.
They've capitulated. And I don't know how Davey Warner's feeling about being a hand in that capitulation around the team that essentially axed him. I think he'd be pretty happy about it.
I think so, yeah.
Yes. Well, I don't think... Yeah, 7 through 10. Well, 10 definitely. 7 or mathematically probably still can get in there, but
I think with that net run rate, the Punjab Kings having played that extra game, I think they're gone. Yeah, and like we said last week, put a line through Kolkata, Chennai, and Mumbai.
Yep. Yeah, Gujarat just really needs to be worried about the net run rate.
It's a top 6 at the moment.
Yeah, it's only just it's 0.12 their net run rate. So. Lucknow's net run rate looking a lot better there than the Titans.
That's it. And they do match up this week as well.
So
that'll be good head-to-head for those 2.
Top of the table clash.
Yeah.
The Man City versus Liverpool of the IPL, if you will. We'll get to that a bit later. Actually, I don't think we'll fuck all the notes for that.
We'll just look at the table.
A little bit off the top of their head.
Yeah, we'll have to do a little bit of that.
Off the top of the
They get a bit
head.
close, actually. A couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. Liverpool famously drawing today with Tottenham. Let's talk some NRL.
Yep.
So a story came out this week around expansion. Shocked me. It's not a week in the NRL without expansion chat. We have the Redcliffe Dolphins that are confirmed going to be the 17th team next year.
Confirmed Redcliffe team?
No, well, they'll be confirmed the Dolphins. They'll be confirmed under Wayne Bennett.
Dolphins from somewhere in Queensland.
Yeah, that's right. The Northeast Brisbane Dolphins doesn't have a very good ring to it, does it? Now, that begs the question. You got 17, you may as well have 18.
Yeah,
even
that was always
yada,
always the plan was the 18.
What the AFL did.
Yep.
So the PNG government, they announced intention to bid for a licence to join by 2030. I reckon the NRL will want 18 teams in a long time before 2030. And the Cairns mayor, actually, he's been very vocal for quite some time about a joint Cairns PNG team that would play some kind of hybrid St George Illawarra type situation, although would be the first team, obviously, in NRL history to be playing based out of 2 different countries.
Yeah.
I suppose the Warriors play out of here, but anyways.
They're forced. They still haven't gone home yet. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, that's right. Now, what do we think about this, boys? Sean, did you read much about this? What was your take?
Yeah, and I think there was some chat as well. They wanted to push a little bit earlier than that. Like they've said by that time we want to be in. 2025, 2026, I think it's seen as other days. Yeah. I think the push has always been for a second New Zealand team or Perth, I think was probably the other conversations. They've definitely taken origin matches across the Perth to try and gauge that interest over there, and it has been very, very good. So PNG, as everyone's probably quite aware for NRL fans, are absolute mad. They will turn out for an Australian game and sit on the stadium roofs if they have to, just so they catch it. They'll fill every man and his dog into a stadium to watch a rugby league game. They absolutely love it. Big population, big market. So it makes sense economically and accounting wise, maybe not so much.
Yeah, do they have the cash?
Yeah.
I think that's.
Do they have a first class stadium that they could?
Well, and is the NRL willing to pump all this cash into supporting this team? Because that's what they would have to do essentially. Yeah. Look, you watch when PNG plays.
Plus, you see all the city teams bitching about having to fly to Papua New Guinea every other week.
You could see him. It makes sense. Like we spoke about that population. You said it's a big population. I didn't realize we were looking beforehand. It's nearly 9 million fucking people. Mm-hmm. That's more than any state in Australia. Yeah. And they're all rugby league mad.
Yes.
It's
their state sport.
It's like the number one sport.
Sorry.
Exactly. So when you look at it like that, I can see why the NRL might kind of consider it. You hear Matty Johns and his brother always talking about a Pacific Islands team, maybe based out of Fiji or based out of New Zealand, but predominantly Pacific Islander players. Yep. We've seen, the meteoric rise of Samoa and Tonga and Fiji, in the last decade. But then you look at it population-wise, and Fiji, Samoa, Tonga combined is less than 1 million people. So if they're trying to think about, eyeballs and I suppose...
membership numbers.
Access to TV might be a bit of a problem up there as well.
Yes.
Obviously not, as financially well off as we are lucky to be down under. But that blew my mind when we looked that up because I thought, maybe it was 6 or 7. It's 9 million people. That's Sydney and Melbourne.
Yeah. Well, it's a much bigger supporter base than the Canberra Raiders have.
Exactly right. So, I don't know. It when you look at that number, 9 million, you think, geez, that is a lot of people. Mm-hmm. Obviously, the economics and the financial side of things,
I don't think
would be difficult.
The quality of play is potentially, essentially initially, because they will have to play a lot of foreigners in the team.
Who as an Australian, are you gonna
base yourself? Say,
are you gonna play out of Port Moresby for an extra 100, 200 grand?
Yeah,
move your family over there.
Can you see Munster moving across to?
No, so there's a challenge. Like they have improved talent wise, but they haven't improved as much as say Samoa and Fiji have at like the international level. And you see that what they're kind of doing with the these sort of Jets there. The Hunters coming across and how they've PG Hunters in the Queensland Cup. Going up against those Jets kind of teams. They
stink.
They struggled. Yeah, exactly.
I shouldn't say that. They're not playing well this year. No, they're 12th. They're 1-5. The Ipswich Jets, who put in that bid to play in the NRL, are 0-6 points difference, minus 148. Yeah, is there the talent base to come out of Papua New Guinea? You'd get some good back if you could get the Papua New Guinea back line at one club, and again, this is highly speculative. Yeah, you're looking at Alex Johnson, Justin Olam, Xavier Coates, David Mead, someone else, 1 through 5. Mm-hmm. You look at the Kummels on paper through the halves and forwards, and it's not NRL caliber.
No. So that's if you can pull that off, like that's the starting point. But you still need, Australian-based players. Maybe he gets. The Raiders got all the English boys, but he may get some English boys. Maybe going to PNG, highly unlikely.
What if they were to get a Cairns PNG based team that just played for 3 games or 4 games a year in Port Moresby, most of your years based out of Cairns? Could that happen?
To me, that makes more sense. So that's how you get your Queensland guys because they base themselves out of Cairns, and then you go play home games. It's essentially fly in, fly out work. Yep. You fly in to play games and you fly out. So that from a scheduling kind of point, probably works better to get more of those Australian-based players. But it's a tough one just knowing what they could produce now. But I guess it's, do you care about now or are you thinking long term? Like, give the Titans example. They've been in the league for 15 years and really haven't delivered on anything major. Been in a couple finals.
Made a preliminary final in 2010.
And that was 12 years ago. So do you give you're talking about Papua New Guinea now. You're talking about Papua New Guinea in 15 years' time. Well, you have to start somewhere. Like if you give them a starting point, it's just like from there, do you give them the time to develop that talent where they then are less reliable on the Australian-based players? So maybe it's like a 10-year deal with Cairns, and then you have a look at it at that point and go, well, hey, we've now produced the coaching, the infrastructure, the talent support, the grassroots growth, that they are now self-sustaining in that way, and they can pull in a good 13 players locally, and then they can top themselves up with the 4 Australian-based guys that might want to go over there because it's got good money. So
interesting.
I mean, they are looking at 2030, so that does fit in with your time frame.
Well, I'm saying start earlier so you can then build.
Well, you need to start now.
Right now, there'll be 18 teams in the NRL.
Yes.
Years before
there might be 20 teams by that point.
Yeah. Well, that's a good transition.
If Peter Valanis has his way, there'll be a team in every city. So,
yeah. So this PNG Cairns thing has sort of been floating around for a few years now. Yeah. So back in 2018, I can see that. I think they saw the Cairns
the second Brisbane team was around for 10 years.
Bob Manning.
Yeah.
Mayor of Cairns.
Yeah, so he floated it a few years ago.
In chat, in yarns for 4 years.
Yeah.
Expansion teams usually take a decade before anything happens. So like I was mentioning, the second Brisbane team, second New Zealand team, that's all been chat for ages. We finally got one of those. Yeah. So it just takes its time, takes its effort.
Yeah. I think Abdo has come out like this weekend saying that the next team will most likely be in New Zealand.
It makes sense from an infrastructure point of view, from the amount of Kiwi players that already play for NRL-based teams.
Plus, there's
look at the Melbourne Storm. Half their team is Kiwis.
Yeah. And the big difference in New Zealand is you have rugby football player talent galore over there. So you got to they've heavily invested in the rugby system there. Which
chuck that security guard in as a 13 somewhere delivering the boom. Yeah. Mate, who's a Victor Radley just standing on the sidelines there at Auckland.
So they will be, though they won't have the member base maybe as like a PNG squad team would have, but they've got more potential talent and more clubs, pumping out potential talent that they can then pinch as well over there. So
the other thing as well is we
need one team to be playing in New Zealand first before we add a second one.
Yeah, well, true. In the COVID
there
world,
is that.
Who knows what the world's going to look like in 2030? Just quietly. The other thing we should mention from that nearly 9 million people that live in PNG, there's no like Port Moresby is only a few 100,000. It's a very rural based
spread out
country. Yeah, so I don't know. Again, if that would have an impact, but like you said, when you see the Kumals play in Papua New Guinea, that stadium it's every man and his dog. So interesting. Is it just a pipe dream? Probably, I think. But it's interesting that it's even a story and that they're looking into it.
It's good.
Yeah, we'll be very old men, I think, before that happens.
Okay, let's talk some actual NRL. The week in the NRL Round 9 started off with Brisbane destroying South 32-12 in Sydney. Adam Reynolds leading the Bronx to victory against his old team. There was a bit of chirp early on. You don't have to be an elite ventriloquist / lip reader to work out what was being said there. He actually struck with the first 2 tries. So try assist, putting up the kick to Corey Oates, and then scored himself. He had an unreal game, 540 kick metres, 3 tackle busts, 2 try assists, 6 goals and a meat pie for the former Bunny Adam Reynolds, 2 tries to Selwyn Cobbo. Did you catch much of this game, Sean?
Yeah, I caught a fair... Actually, no, I caught most of the first half, and then I think I had to put the kid to bed, so I didn't get the end of it, but I was pretty happy with how they were travelling at that point. South's Adam Reynolds seemed to be doing what he wanted at will. And there was kind of really 3 big stories that came out of this game. It was one, Cobbo got a new deal. They've re-upped him, and he had the big, long, maybe 90-metre try intercept. Showed his wheels, which which
everyone talks about. How fast this kid is.
And for a big lad as well, like he's definitely got wheels, ran away from everyone. But it was the mismanagement by Souths with the other 2. One, how do you let a guy like Adam Reynolds go, and then he offer him only a year, and then he turn around I was thinking about it.
He didn't want that much money. He just wanted
some
a little bit less than what he's worth.
Yeah, and he wanted longevity. He wanted the multi-year contract.
He didn't want to
out
leave.
his career. Yeah. And they sat him down, and he said it. And I think in the post-match to this, or leading up to it, some of the preview, that they brought me in, they offered me the 1-year deal, and at that point I knew I'm done. I'm going elsewhere because they weren't going to do any better. They basically lowballed him, and he's like, I'm going to put my service on the market, and the Brisbane were like, we'll give you a 3-year deal, no problem.
They reverse Kalen Ponga him.
Reverse Ponga him.
Well, yeah, they ruined themselves. So, and I think he's only getting paid $750K this year. That's good money for a halfback. Maybe he's not in the top 3 kind of conversation. You probably start with Cleary, Hughes and DCE,
which we were talking about last week. Who 2 is? Yeah.
But then top
5.
Yeah, but 4 and 5, and then you're like, there's not many guys better than him. Playing halfback in the NRL.
Yeah, off the top of my head, like maybe Mitch Moses would be in the conversation.
Only if they're playing Melbourne or Penrith.
Ben Hunt, I know you think he's getting paid overs. Maybe
he's having a good year this year, except for today, but he's having a good year this year.
Yeah, no one has a good day against Melbourne, except for the Parramatta Eels. We'll get to that in just a second.
I think that's really good. Really good by then. Again, everyone's getting slammed in the South about mismanagement, etc. And then they played Peoples. Peoples got his debut in this game. He wasn't officially registered with the NRL. So
I didn't hear about that.
So if they had won this game, they were probably getting deducted their points. So
really? Didn't pay his rego?
They hadn't registered his contract.
That is the most grade/suburban football thing I've ever heard. Black players who hadn't paid his rego, hadn't paid his subs, as they call them, I think, in Melbourne.
It kind of goes with that whole story of Souths mismanaging their players, and I think is it George Burgess is coming up? No, it's George. Yes, it's George. George is coming up for a. No, I've got that. Which Burgess brother is it? Which one's still playing for Souths?
I think it's George.
It is George? Yeah, he's coming up for a contract renewal, and everyone's worried they're going to lowball him and he's going to fuck off and go elsewhere. South's mismanaging players was the big chat this week, and they did it on multiple occasions, unfortunately.
And I think I might have just fucked that up because isn't George Burgess the Burgess brother that's at the Dragons?
So I was trying to work out Sam.
Sam's not playing. No. Luke's not playing. No. It's Tom.
No, maybe it's not.
It's Tom.
It's Tom.
Yeah.
Okay. It's Tom. There's one of them.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's Tom.
There's too many of them. Can't keep track of all the Burgess brothers.
No.
Just be like the Trebojevic brothers and just play on one fucking team again. Thank you.
Make it easier. Well, all 4 of them did play for South in one game, but that is a long time ago. A little bit. I was close to tipping Brisbane in this one. I went South.
I did purely because this was Adam Reynolds' revenge game. That's
smart. No, and no Payne Haas or Kurt Capewell.
Yeah, I thought even without it, it's like South's. I don't think we'll lift for the moment, and I thought Reynolds would, and that seemed to be the case. And they had Tom Flagler actually played really well.
Yeah,
Brisbane. So, they've Brisbane 6th, I think, on the table now. They're starting to sneak their way in there.
Yeah, they're kind of starting to look like maybe contenders.
I think with Martin back at fullback,
8th at the moment.
8th.
Yeah, I think they've kind of settled on their spine a little bit better. I'm not sure if Gamble's the long-term 6, but he obviously just does what he needs to do to help Reynolds.
Their record when Gamble plays is pretty good.
Yeah, he just gives them, he's an absolute head case. He's a flog, but he just gives them the aggression, I guess, maybe they need.
I don't run into Tyson Gamble next week when I'm in Brisbane after that.
He might shank you. So, but I think with Reynolds controlling the squad, he can just be a running 5'8" and be aggressive, and the boys play off it.
And he plays like he's that real gritty, like a kind of like a Jack Bird or a Cody Walker who got himself.
He's an effort player, and that's kind of what they need.
Yeah,
Martin really solidified that fullback position. Also got a contract extension. I think we might have talked about that. That was officially done this week.
Yep.
And hooker wise, I think they kind of haven't quite settled there, but they've been a little bit more settled this week with they've dropped Tarpin, I think. Turpin. And I can't remember actually who, because it wasn't Billy Walters, it was someone else playing hooker for them, and he had been solid.
Billy Walters started as the 9.
Yeah, who was their replacement?
Flegler playing?
No, he was playing prop. Someone else. It wasn't Walters that finished at 9.
Corey Pakes?
Yeah, it might have been Pakes. Snuck in there. He's a halfback, didn't that say? So, yeah, it would be Pakes. Came in and played a bit of hooker for them in the second half. So, I think that's probably their biggest issue at the moment is a settled...
Solid 9.
Solid 9, but the rest of their spine is getting more solid. From where they were last year, chopping and changing, every week, who's playing halfback, who's playing 6. They're kind of solidifying that, building some chemistry, getting all their forwards healthy and winning games. Unlike the Raiders, on the other hand, who have had the most...
Nice segue.
Yeah, most combination of halves so far this season. I think they're up to 18, I think, for their spine, sorry. Their combination of all the guys going in and out of the spine. They've changed it so much with, losing Josh to start with. So they've had the 9 kind of going back and forth with Starling and Adam Elliott starting in there. Jack, of course, was suspended for this game, so they had different 7 and 6s. The fullback had another rotation this week with Nico Klosek back there before he got injured. Rapana had to play at fullback. So, yeah, they've been chopping and changing a lot. And they just got it done against Canterbury.
Bit of a mud game, this one. 14-4 on Friday night, but Canberra coming away with the win down here in the nation's capital.
Big story was, and it was actually happened in the Brisbane game. I think it was Herbie Fernsworth dived to... They play the ball, there's no dummy half, and then he dived on the ball and he got penalised. Because you got to allow the dummy half to touch the ball first, and the ref was like, "I know it's a stupid rule, but I got to call a penalty."
Really?
Yeah. So and the ref admitted that it was a stupid rule, and I was like, "Oh." And then the bunker had a couple of bad misses in the Raiders game as well. And Ricky during the week had said, "The bunker never gets anything right. Why do we use them?" And this year he's probably pretty fair. Their accuracy has been low
and no consistency.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing. Week to week, NRL has no consistency at all. So I guess. The problem is probably they've not over-officiated, they've over-analysed and over-scrutinised and overruled the game.
It slows it down so much.
Yeah, the rule book is just probably too long at this point, and they've tried to address grey areas with more grey area, and it just hasn't helped. So
50 Shades of Grey by the NRL.
By the NRL, yeah.
For a losing side, Matt Burton played pretty well. He had a try, 11 tackle bust. A bit of chat about maybe getting a nod in this Origin side as a 14. Well, we saw
with
Pappenhausen get hurt. Yeah. We'll get to that in just a second. We've spoken about it before. I think Jack Whiten, he's played the role before.
Oh, but they might be down for centres at this point. So
maybe he starts
right in and Burton
again. Katoni Staggs. It's cool as a New South Wales fan that there's so much depth and so many guys that are putting their hand up. Yeah, it's a good problem to have.
Yeah, you want the healthiest squad though, of course. But at least you've got options.
Let us know in the comments if you think Matt Burton should be getting an Origin start in getting an Origin gig in 2022. Getting a jersey. Parramatta, the enigma that is the Parramatta Eels. There's 2 teams that sit first and second in this competition after 9 rounds. One being the Melbourne Storm, one being the Penrith Panthers. And who have they both lost to? The Parramatta Eels.
Parramatta Eels.
We spoke about it last year. We used Dave Grohl, the Foo Fighters. Are Parramatta the pretenders? Are they, for the poor, long-suffering Eels fans who haven't won a comp since the 80s? Are they the real deal, or are they just going to be irrelevant? Now, a poor Parramatta fan he had the last laugh. I saw a Parramatta. When someone's profile picture is just their club. This was the Parramatta Eels. He was.
Die hard.
Almost as bad as getting a tattoo of your club, I guess.
I'd definitely consider. Now, he was bagging Dave Warner, saying he's irrelevant, yada, yada, yada. I had a few beers Friday night and I commented back off my own personal account saying Parramatta have been irrelevant for 35 years. And then they go out and beat Penrith. What do we think? Are Parramatta the real deal?
I don't think so.
You still think that? Because it's hard. You go and get smacked by the Cowboys. You lose to the West Tigers.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they just, whatever reason, they got good matchups against Penrith and South and Storm. They beat those two.
But that's good match. Like that's who you want. That's who you might be playing in the grand final.
True.
Yeah, teams to beat. They're the teams you want to beat.
Yeah,
but you got to get to that grand final. That's I think it's my point.
Is it an attitude thing?
Maybe. So that's what I think. They can beat those two, but then everyone say between 3 and 8. Including themselves, they're probably 50-50. And then everyone outside the top 8, they're going to lose to. So that's their problem at the moment.
Seems to be the ways,
if they're not a top side, they just maybe just put in minimum effort, and then they get G'd up for the big games, win those, and then they're just kind of middle tier with all the other middle tier guys. Like they're just.
I wonder what's going through Brad Arthur's head.
I think they play to their competition. Maybe that's it. Like they play poorly with the poor squads, and then that gives the poor squads a bit of momentum to win those games. And they play really well against the really good teams to put them in a position to potentially win those games. And then they're just so-so with the so-so guys.
But if they've got that formula, they've beaten the Melbourne Storm the last 3 times they've played them, and Melbourne Storm have been playing
as long
fucking out of their skin the last 3 weeks, most of the season, really. Why can't they do it against the Tigers? And granted, last week we spoke about the Cowboys. Look, maybe the Cowboys are actually better than everyone thinks. They currently sit 3rd. Their points difference is over 100. But what is going on in this playing group where you can go out and beat a Melbourne and a Penrith and can't go out and beat the West Tigers or get spanked by the Cowboys? It's a really strange one. In terms of the players, Isaiah Papali'i, unbelievable. Again, he had 48 tackles, 9 tackle busts, 186 run meters.
By the year last year.
I think he might have been the buy of the year.
Last year definitely, and they've re-upped him this year, so he's doing a job for him.
He was
on his money
when he was at the Warriors. He was on like a min contract, or like 150 or something.
Well, I think he was on vet minimum when he joined the Eagles last year, and he played out of his skin, and they bumped him up.
It's just fucking nuts, hey?
Yeah.
So their spine's been really good as well, week in, week out.
Did they move Dylan back to 6? 6? Yeah.
So I think we might have been a little bit unfair last week on the Jacob Arthur thing when he was playing 6 and Dylan Brown was bumped into the centres. I've sent you boys the injury list. They had so many injuries. We also found out what nepotism means. Nepotism means favouring someone that or that's related to you or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah, I've never experienced that. It's weird.
English on the esky.
English on the or possibly Latin or Greek before that. Who knows? Past a rugby league fans' knowledge base and coming from 3 rugby league fans. Reid Marnie, very good.
Bro, we got more. We might have a higher IQ than most NRL teams. It's all right.
Than the teams. Have you listened back to our chat? I'm going to say that's a big fat no. Looking back to Stevens, who started 6 in this game. Dylan Brown started 6 in this game.
Yeah. Manly Wests. Let's go there next. Probably big story. The triple turbo.
And Ben
Travois of the Triple T's getting the double in this one. Didn't they? I think West actually made this a little bit closer than the actual score line makes it believe. They scored, I think, too late to bring this closer than it was.
Yep, they did.
Manly, really just put them to the sword. And nothing really huge out of this game. It was the Hastings revenge game, some were thinking. But Manly should beat West. They are a better squad, especially triple T'd. They got the job done here.
But he looked pretty good.
He's got good size as well. Like
he's a big centre, dude.
Yeah, he's like I think he's taller than Tom.
I think he's about the same, but I think weight wise he's bigger than Tom, but smaller than Jake.
Yes, correct.
So he's going to be a big centre, and in today's league, when when there's Sifa Talakai's running around and Katoni Staggs and those kind of guys.
Well, if he takes a bit of both his brothers, then that probably makes a perfect centre. So.
How old is he? Is he 20?
He's a centimetre off Tom.
There you go. Like for like.
Yeah.
He's 105 kegs?
105 kegs, yeah.
21.
Let's see, Jakey.
I think Jakey might have him covered for
kegs, but not for height.
For kegs and not for height,
Yeah.
107? 107? Yeah.
107, 185 centimetres.
Yeah.
So triple turbo. Now, Carl Lawton, he only got 4 weeks for that throw on Cam Murray.
Yep.
Thoughts around that? We were saying it looked pretty bad. He left his feet, which is probably why the momentum shifted so far on Cam Murray. Ended up landing on his head. Luckily, it was inches away from disaster.
Yeah.
Do you think 4 weeks is fair for that?
With the way the league's been ruling things this year, probably. It's Magic Round next week, so maybe that would have been life.
Last year, yeah.
Last year's Magic Round, definitely. We'll see what rule they change.
Carl Lawton never plays a game ever again.
Yeah, we'll see what law it is for this year's Magic Round, whether they change anything up or not. I think with the way other things did, it looked bad. It was high shoulders, not exactly neck, but you can see how it can go wrong very, very quickly and be neck, and that's where you get really, really worried. So sit him down for a month, that's probably fair. It'd be interesting to see what the Sharkies won today with the clothesline, whether that gets more than that or gets similar, because it was just as bad, if not worse. I think visually, I think the clothesline looks worse than that. So, NRL being NRL, he'll probably get 2 weeks then.
Yeah, no consistency, etc. I normally err on the side of, that's too much, what are they doing?
Yeah, we grew up with 90s football. So.
Yeah, that's right. I think this may have even been slightly unders. Yeah. Like, I think he probably could have, he was facing 5 and he took the early guilty plea. I think he could have got 6. I think the fact that Cam Murray jumps back up is fine. He's unaffected. Cam Murray doesn't miss time. That's
but if Cam Murray ends up in a wheelchair,
well, what do you do?
Yeah.
What do you do?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's fucked to even consider that, but that's the reality of that.
Well, that's the risk.
Tackle.
We've talked about the risk. We've seen it happen to multiple players.
Yeah.
In recent years. So it's.
I suppose that's
you're trying to get that sort of stuff out of the game, and if 4 weeks you don't think, oh yeah, that's probably a little unders, then you're probably not getting that stuff out of the game. You go heavy hand.
Yeah.
So you push 6, you push maybe even 8. You go, hey, we want this out of the league. You do this, you're going to sit down for a long time.
Yep, and that's why we're talking about it, because unlike the way that I normally look at it, and I think there might be unders for Carl Lawton. Anyways, 4 weeks he gets.
Yep.
I guess we'll talk about it more later on, but the Will Kennedy thing, it looked bad, but you're probably not breaking someone's neck doing that.
That's the thing, with the old clothesline.
And
might knock him out though.
You could knock him out. Well,
severe brain injury,
did get straight back up as well.
Yeah,
well,
we know you've got one.
Oh, I've got a few less than you.
True. Yeah, I think I win for concussions on the table, unfortunately.
Maybe that's why the dyslexia is strongest on the left of the table.
Maybe. How's that IQ again?
I can just see there.
IQ still good, the memory, not so much.
Carl Lawton sent Cam Murray a message and apologised, and there wasn't too much bad blood. And it happens so quick with those throws as well. Like the momentum can shift so quick.
That tipping point where you just go from horizontal.
Well, they talk about...
You got to remember, it's Murray's 100 kilos, so you mishandle that. Yeah. Mishandling 100 kilos is not fun. You're going to drop it in an awkward way very quickly.
And from horizontal to vertical, that last bit happens so quick.
Yeah.
But anyways, it is what it is. Lawton sits out for a month. The other big story coming out of Manly is Kieran Foran confirmed going to the Gold Coast
next
Titans.
Year, though, yes?
Yeah, end of the
2023.
It will be 2023. 2-year deal worth around 700, 750. Is that what we're reading?
I saw it as 700-ish.
Good for the Gold Coast Titans, I guess, in getting an established guy. Looks obviously when he plays, with DCE, they've got that chemistry.
With the turbos.
Well, with the turbos,
makes being a 6 very easy. Run a line handed off, dry time.
He looks very good. Will he be able to carry that over to the Gold Coast Titans, where he probably doesn't have the same talent outside him at an older age? Is it a bit too much?
Do you reckon he'll play 6 or 7 there?
Because he has to play 6. And I think Sexton plays 7.
Yeah. Well, that's been the problem when Thorin's gone elsewhere. He's been forced into 7.
Yeah.
Being the veteran and the playmaker and the game manager.
Yeah.
And I think he's better as a strike kind of running 5/8 where he's got those options. He definitely fits it. He gels with that Manly system, and of course those boys very well.
Yep.
Have been played there for a very long time in 2 different stints.
Yep.
It'd be interesting to see how he goes with the Titans, who probably don't have that kind of strike power in the backs.
Well, they had been trialling Brimson at 6. They moved him back to fullback the last few weeks. Had Will Smith of slapping Chris Rock fame up there. So it will be interesting to see how Foz slots into that Gold Coast Titans system, considering his age and his gel.
Yeah, I'm more worried they'll start Paul in next year, and then they'll have to force him in at 7 and take control of the squad.
Okay, we'll see what happens next year. Next year is a long time coming. Josh Schuster, do you think he plays 6 next year? We haven't seen him just.
Well, that's because they want to force Josh into 6.
Yeah. He's so big. Like he could be a 13. We've seen how good Isaiah Yo's been as a ball playing 13.
Look how big that Manly squad is now with like Chubb on the wing, the turbos in the back line. Now,
heaviest team, weren't they, last year? I think we looked that up.
I think so,
we looked that up.
Power in the front. Yeah, they're a big squad. So,
do you think Foran goes to Titan to bring some of that maturity and leadership to the team?
Well,
it's taken them 10 years after they missed out of DCE then had to finally get a Manly half to come up.
That wasn't 10 years ago.
Well,
it feels like 10 years ago.
Find out, when did the DCE turn down the
backflip? 3 years maybe.
Oh, I think it's longer than that. I think he's had 2 deals since then. It was a while ago.
You can check it out.
I'm going to say 2014 or 15.
You reckon that long ago?
Yeah.
Nah, I reckon it's like 18. Anyways, Monks will chase that one up. Going back to your question around Foran, of course he's going to be able to bring some leadership and some intellect and, winning comps kind of vibe around that Gold Coast Titans group. But is he going to be able to go in there and be an elite half without that supporting cast?
Yeah.
I would think not. When was the original Titans backflip?
Yeah, it was 2015.
Oh, so you were closer. You're closer. There you go.
So, around 2015.
Where the fuck does the time go?
Yeah.
That's 7 years ago.
I might have to suck myself off later.
Did you get that rib removed this week? You're looking pretty good for someone that's just had a Marilyn Manson surgery.
All right. Roosters Titans. Roosters Dick Titans.
Absolutely. Yeah. That
Teddy Hattie.
Mate, Teddy.
And the double to the wingers. So.
Unbelievable. 226 run meters, 10 tackle bus. Looked like the...
Oh, he's past it. He shouldn't play.
That's right. He's not that good. In the lowercase, uppercase spelling variety, obviously. That's the way that we're talking about. James Tedesco there. Tupou as well. So good under the high ball, playing like a former New South Wales Origin player. Sawali, bit of a coming out game for him.
It had been quiet so far this year. Again, he's still what?
18?
19, I think.
Yeah, he's young.
Or turning 19 in a couple of months.
I was only 19. He's very young.
18.
He's still 18, man.
Yeah,
I don't think you can criticise 18-year-olds.
No.
He does not look like an 18-year-old.
Yeah. No, he doesn't.
Well, he did not look like me when I was 18.
No. Well, you gotta look like you now at 32.
True.
Don't take my lunch money, please, Joseph.
You got to remember, like, Trell, I think, he's still super young.
He's 23, I think.
And he's played 5 years in the top grade.
Yeah, you forget how young these guys are. Dave Fafita's 22, I think.
Yeah. So, give him 4 years and then you'll probably get the value out of him.
Of course. And people
at that point, probably Teddy's retired and he's playing fullback.
He's been quiet in a Sydney Roosters system when he's 18.
Yeah,
and the hype around him is it's always downfall for guys that are that good. Or are going to be that good.
Doesn't matter. The Roosters, they don't need that out of him. They're happy for Teddy to do all the heavy lifting, etc., and just him to find his natural game. And then when he gets into that prime kind of football age in the early 20s, then hopefully by then he's going to have 100 games under his belt, so he'll be good to go by that point. So I'm not worried at all about him.
Trooks fans will be happy to get back on, the winners' circle after losing to the Dogs and Dragons. Both those games they were heavily favoured.
What's the stats do on the halves for the two Roosters?
Oh, that's a good question.
They've been a little bit up down in their form, and I just wonder if
Kiri hasn't quite looked like old Kiri.
Yeah,
you have to think he's coming off a whole year, rehabbing and getting himself right. Yeah. We're also talking about a bloke that's won 3 comps.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
He's had a lot of head knocks in that time frame.
Well, that's true, so and ligament damage as well.
So he's got to, get the confidence back in his body, and then it's one thing to play and then another to run at guys like Marty DePauw, etc. So.
Indeed.
What are we looking for?
The comparison of the halves, they play well.
Well, Keary had 3 try assists.
That's pretty good. So I'll take that.
On the weekend, and 2 against the Bulldogs. But like you're saying, before that, he had 3 weeks in a row where he didn't get a try assist. Before that, he had 4 in the first 4 games. So quick maths, 4, 6, 9 try assists in 9 games. That's okay, I guess, out of a half. I do agree. He hasn't quite looked like Keary of,
and then
Premiership, Championship kind of fame.
And then Walker, on the other hand, trying to work around that as well as like finding his feet
again as a fucking 18, 19-year-old.
Yeah, exactly. How do I fit into this squad around Luke as the veteran, and then also try not to take over the match. But they're a good system, got a good system there, a good squad. I don't think it matters at this point in the season. We're not even at round 10.
No.
Come back at us at round 20 and see where they're at, and they'll probably be in the top 4. So.
Yeah, I'd agree. Chooks fans will be happy. Cowboys fans will be very happy.
Talking about top 4.
Yeah, they are third.
Cemented themselves, I think, in that third spot currently.
Their points difference is 101, I think it was, in the hundreds.
There's only 3 teams in the hundreds, and they're one of them with the 2 biggest.
102. Thank you for the clarification.
What are their points on the table from them to 4th? They got a 2-game lead?
No, because Sharks and Eels are both on 12 points.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
but they've just got the best points difference out of those teams.
Did beat another bottom 8 team here in Newcastle.
Yes. 7 losses on the trot now for Newcastle. Speaking of, the opposite end of the spectrum, getting off to that 2-0 start, looking okay against Penrith in round 3, and then they've just been an absolute slide since then.
And potentially through the origin period is not going to be great for them because they've only got 2 or 3 really good players, and potentially they will all be in origin squads.
Yeah, Frizzell didn't play. He was a late admission there.
And?
I think so. Yeah, fuck my fantasy team up. Got another L in the NRL fantasy. So if he's good to go, you'd expect he plays Origin.
Ponga, I think, will probably play some part in the Queensland.
You'd think will be in that Queensland side. Daniel Saifidi was in the New South Wales Origin.
Clemmer's
Origin side.
kind of on that. I don't think he will with playing half.
Clemmer was very good in this game. He was actually the highest scorer in terms of fantasy for the Knights in that one.
I think they prefer Haas and Saifidi brothers.
I think he'll be just off making Origin. Yeah. But it's going to be a rough period for him because that's
they're looking them and the doggies are fighting over the spoon at the moment.
That they play each other. The start of the Magic Round is the 15th place Canterbury Bulldogs taking on the 16th place Newcastle Knights.
We'd hate to say that the spoon's decided in round 9, but.
No, I think there's a lot of teams that can still win that spoon.
At the Dragons.
At the West Tigers.
At the Raiders.
At the Gold Coast Tigers.
Unfortunately, there's a lot of bad clubs and there's a few really, really good ones.
And speaking of...
let's go there. Melbourne Dragons. Dick, the Dragons must have scored that 6-pointer within the last 4 minutes.
Yeah, it was Jack DeBellin. It was definitely the definition of consolation. If you look up consolation in the dictionary, you see Jack DeBellin going over there.
Yeah.
Did they just let him through and just we'll get you off the donut? Sorry.
I don't know. Well, they didn't concede a try against Newcastle the week before, and they only conceded 10 points the week before that. What was I saying to his pre-show? I think it's 166 to 18.
Yeah.
Yep.
18 in the last 3 games.
Yeah, that's why they have a 250-plus point difference at the moment.
Yeah, 225, I think is their points difference. They have the most points ever through 9 rounds. That beats an 87-year-old record from the 1935 Eastern Suburbs Roosters. A bit of a milestone game as well for a few players from Melbourne. Kenny Bromwich played his 200th.
Kiwi boys, I think there's about 8 in that squad. They did the
haka for him. Yeah, they've got their hairs tingling. Obviously,
Which ones?
The ones on my arms.
Sorry. You set me up.
Take a layup, man. Take a layup. That's all good. It's all good. Now, Kenny Bromwich followed his brother, I think, he moved to Melbourne as a 16-year-old.
Correct.
Growing up in Auckland, playing his 200th at, essentially the club that he's been with his whole career. But he goes over to the Dolphins along with his brother and Felice Kafusi, that New Zealand contingent, all leaving at the end of the year. Speaking of Kiwis, Nelson Asafa-Solomona, he played 150 today. He's a big boy. I think about guys who I'd least like to tackle in the NRL, and obviously any of them. But I think Nelson Asafa-Solomona, he's definitely if he's not the top, he's top 3. He got himself a meat pie. He actually lost his old man a few months ago. He had dad written on his tape and sort of signalled to the heavens after scoring there.
I think it was for him they did the haka for when they presented him his jersey, and I think his mum came into the locker room as well.
Well, they did Bromwich as well. I saw a video of Bromwich.
Probably both.
They probably did them all, so.
Yeah.
Can't turn down a haka, bro.
No.
Definitely
Now,
not.
bittersweet
a few injuries
for the Melbourne Storm.
Yeah.
Smith, who's been their starting centre, he tore his pec early on in this game. Pecs are generally anywhere between 3 to 6 months.
Pecs are bad ones.
So
especially, again, Dr. Sean here on the
Dr.
end
Sean you go. I keep saying of such and such fame, but
I've got no fame at all.
That's essentially and it's also from
Dr. Sean of Dr. Sean fame.
It's also ripping off a podcast that I listen to in Hello Sport. Shout out to Tom and Eddie if you guys are listening. I'm sure you're not.
No medical fact here, Peps, but because I just remember Mark Gasnier as a dude that was a lot bigger built through the chest, had a lot more difficulties because he tore his pec multiple times. And I think the last time essentially ended his career. Was like one of the last big injuries he had and ended his career towards the end of his career. Those guys with the bigger chest have a bit more of a difficulty with those pec muscles and trying to get them all reattached and working.
It seems counterintuitive because generally the stronger a muscle is, the
usually
less vulnerable it is to tearing.
Well, it's not like you're tearing the pec across the middle of the pec. It's the smaller attachment bit, the side. Which is not something you're trying to work out with when you're benching 120 plus kilos.
No, it's an interesting theory. I would think it's just more to do with the speed and velocity of the tackles that these guys have to make.
Oh, definitely. It's usually the arm extension.
Arm outstretch is the general mechanism. I would think a stronger pec should hold up more. I think it's more.
What about recovery though? So if you're like a really big chested pec dude,
this is a good question from a guy that just finished a chiropractic degree, as my friends like to say, / physio. No, look, the general thinking always is, and it comes down to hamstrings as well. The stronger that the muscle is, the least vulnerable it is to tearing.
True.
You've got to weigh that up against the velocity and the load of work that it goes up against.
Yes.
And in the NRL, and you think about velocity, you think about load, these guys playing...
We're talking general physics here now. We're talking force.
If a guy plays 24 games in the season and he plays, a little bit for Australia or whatever, and not that Remus... Remus has played international footy, I'm pretty sure.
Mileage doesn't help, but then also when you think like these guys are 100 kegs plus.
It's force.
Yeah, it's force. And they're running
mass times acceleration.
Exactly.
That's
change of direction.
That's what I think it is.
100% agree.
Anyways, thinking of Remus and his recovery might be okay for finals. Like that's the only silver lining, I suppose, is doing it now. The other end of the spectrum, Ryan Pappenhausen.
If we're talking about mass, he's probably on the lower end of
definitely.
that. But for speed,
he looked so good in that first 50 minutes. I was like, every time he touched the ball as a Dragons fan, I was like, just.
At this point, I think his mullet's like 4 or 5 feet long because it's just, how far back it is from him when he's at full pace.
He
looks a step quicker than every single person out on the field. So he had a nasty kind of right knee getting caught under a big gang tackle.
Twisted a bit of MCL maybe?
No. He was hobbling around.
More sort of hyperextension as well. Push him in a touch.
And the physio was out there and looking at the ligaments and it seemed okay. They strapped him up. And then after scoring an 80-metre try...
pulled hammy.
They reckon low-grade hamstring tear, so maybe he'll be looking at 2-3 weeks. We'll see what the discussion is.
But I assume he
throughout this week.
strided out for full pace to make that 80. Yeah, so
Yeah, and he was
again a lot of force, a lot of load on those hammies.
He was electric. He had 58 fantasy points in 50 minutes before getting hurt to meat pies.
Yeah.
What do they do
as
though,
well.
actually, if he misses time? Because no Nico Hines this year.
Yeah, I think young Tyron Wishart, who came in and went into the centres when Ramus Smith got hurt and then went back to fullback. Yeah, son of former Illawarra Steeler Rod Wishart. I can remember watching Rod Wishart play. That's showing our age. I think he will get the nod. The other kind of chat is, do you bring, a top 3 halfback in Jerome Hughes back to the position that he used to play in playing fullback and run someone else through the halves? Be interesting to see what they do.
I think your halfback's probably more important. You just get a big body that's got a bit of pace, put him at fullback, and then let Jerome Holmes put him in holes, and that's all you need to do.
I think I was impressed with Tyron Wishart and the way that he played coming off the bench.
Storm don't struggle for outside backs. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I think he'll get the 1 jersey, and if they're reporting low grade for Pappy, and also you have to think Pappy got hurt and they still steamrolled the Dragons in that second. It was mostly in the second half. Yeah. I think they'll be fine.
Yeah, well, they played well last year with missing Pap for a long part of that.
Indeed.
And found a dude like Nico Hines, so we'll have to wait and see who Nico Hines of 2022 is going to be.
And speaking of Nico Hines, the Cronulla Sharks beat the Warriors 29 points to 10. The big storyline, I suppose, was Sean Johnson going up against his old club.
Can you find Will Kennedy?
The Will Kennedy send-off. Now, this happened, 16 minutes in?
16 minutes in.
16, yeah.
The old coat hanger, the old, I've just been beaten, I'll chuck the arm out and cop someone on the chin. I've never done that before in any of my sporting lack of accomplishments. It was on Reece Walsh.
Decleated him as well. So
yeah,
looked bad.
Took him off his feet.
He had to pick on the smallest bloke on the field, unfortunately.
He was beat and he chucked his arm out. Yeah. We're going to watch it right now. And again,
the front on vision's not great. Where it shows it very, very well.
Might just be the same.
Yeah,
that's right.
Well, it's a minute 30. We'll get some ads as well. And this was a send-off after, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, Tupou got his one, and that was play on. So
consistency. There's no consistency. This looked like a send-off though. Yeah. The other thing is, it
still looked really bad.
Yeah.
That ref actually got stood down after that. The NRL seems to stand refs and bunker officials down every week at the moment.
poor fellas,
sending them home, make one. Yeah, but the problem is, I think that when they're making mistakes, they're making big mistakes. So we get to see it here in a second. But this one, if we're talking 4 weeks before, this looks pretty bad.
That looks
6 plus. So.
That looks horrendous. I think, like Monkey was saying before, it's pretty hard.
Let's see if we can get the front on shot.
It
kind of looks a little bit over the shoulder and that, but it's around the throat. It's ripping his throat.
That is a clothesline. Yeah. Will Kennedy puts his hand up straight away. He knows that he's fucked up. Gets sent. I'd imagine he'd be looking at 4 weeks for that. It's a shame for Cronulla because he's really underrated as a fullback. A lot of people kind of like to talk about Dylan Edwards and how underrated he is in the Penrith system. Yeah. But Will Kennedy,
watch this angle. This is the angle
Will
I saw
Kennedy
first.
Quite underrated as well.
And
oh goodness, that's bad. And you can see the crowd behind reacting. Hand up. Sorry. I'll see you at the judiciary.
Yeah. I'll see you all at a home game in about a month and a half time. So
yeah, interesting. It is interesting, like we were saying before, though, in terms of causing long-term injury. You'd think the spear tackle, the Carl Lawton on Cam Murray, you'd be looking at a much higher percentage of stuff that could go wrong compared to that.
Yeah. Well, still getting whacked in the throat's not fun.
Sure. Yeah. No.
At Darren Lockyer, etc. So.
Yeah, true that. Yeah. True that.
It's your neck area. There's a lot of vital things within it, so you'd rather not be getting whacked on it. So.
They feed the emptiness that is our 3 craniums right here.
True.
Interesting thing in this game, that was 16th minute. Cronulla played 12 men and win easily against the Warriors.
Yeah, like a minute after this, the Warriors scored to tie the game up as well at 6-6. And they still went out 129 to 10. So
and Jesse Raymond,
also got sin binned just after the second half started. So
there was a point where they were playing. Well, there's 10 minutes where they were playing with 11 men, and they beat the Warriors.
They beat the Warriors.
So that's a testament to where the Sharks are at, and also maybe a bit of a reality check for the Warriors, who we were kind of talking about. Oh, are they the real deal? We had them in our NRL preview as being pretty mud, playing away from home, but they've been kind of surprising. Maybe a bit of a reality check.
Yeah, they've been beating some of the lower tier squads at the moment, and they've run into a Sharks team that's been pretty good this year. So
Bloody oath.
Yeah. All those points for the Warriors were scored in the first half as well. So
Unreal.
Just couldn't capitalise on the second half having one extra man.
Anyway, enough NRL. Let's move into
Yep.
some AFL, lads.
Now, my gripe with the AFL this week, and I've spoken about it before, these clashing matchups. When you don't have a Thursday night game, and as fans of both the NRL and the AFL...
I will say there is a caveat here. It gives me an excuse to get into the missus about buying a second TV and setting two TVs up.
True, right.
Start the sports bar.
You know, with smart TVs these days, I'm sure there is some kind of picture-in-picture.
Yeah, but I want the 65 and 65. I want both get first world problems.
He wants the full sports caster.
Come on, man.
I'm
rap guy.
Today, Julia.
Sean, you can't talk.
I can't.
I'll cover from Peps.
At least it wasn't someone's name.
That's
true.
it.
At Harper Morgan.
Yeah. It was right names, wrong order.
Yeah, true. Neither are good. Anyway, as possibly the best speaker of three not very good speakers. The whole TAB setup in the house would be a nice little setup. Maybe it's something that we could do in a little man cave in a basement.
True.
Maybe.
Anyways, always fun taking the piss out of each other and our lack of, speaking English abilities.
Yes.
Now,
but we still don't like the fact that AFL is playing games over the top of each other in parallel.
And your big clash in a lot of places. We live in Canberra, the Ron Barassi line. We talk about it. That line that separates NRL and AFL. We live right on it. Probably just sort of leaning, a little bit leaguey here. If the AFL, wants to grow that market, in places like Canberra, you can give them a game in Manuka. But I think, competing against rugby league and putting games on Thursday nights would be smarter than having these, conflicting schedules. And we are, of course, talking about the Friday night schedules.
Yeah, well, either that or play more games on Saturday and Sunday.
Or play. You've got a late game in Perth. Play one straight after the other. The fact that one's they start one and it's half time and then the other one starts. That's real weird.
There's also nothing wrong.
The cricket's a good example in the Big Bash League, where if they want to have a double header and they want people, it's Friday night, and if you want to watch both, you can stay up a little bit later. And on the East Coast, you've got a 6 o'clock or 6:30 start for the first game, and then over on the West Coast, you start 9:30 on the East Coast. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. You could do it like that and kind of take that mould that the Big Bash sort of does.
You can play morning weekend games as well. But
morning's not
no.
Like what? Starting at 11 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah,
but that's when Rezzy's got to go play. I don't want to miss my reserve grade game and then miss the footy as well. I don't think there's a market there. I think the smartest thing to do is to compete directly with the NRL and play Thursday night games. Or if you want to do,
it's not really a competition. NRL's usually putting garbage games on Thursday night anyway.
That is true. At the Gold Coast Titans versus the West Tigers.
Put your garbage game on Thursday. Just get it out of the way, and instead of in parallel where it's not getting watched.
Thursday night, you're starting to get horny for the weekend. I like to see good matchups on a Thursday night. Yes, sometimes if for the working man that has to be up early, it can finish a little bit late, but it just gives you that little bit of excitement that the weekend's coming.
Yeah.
Anyways, Gil McLaughlin, if you're listening, I'm sure you care. Let's talk about those Friday night games. The Port Adelaide Power won their third in a row after their dismal 0-5 start. Travis, good bloke, pretty good as usual, 30 disposals and a sausage roll. 3 to Jeremy Finlayson, 2 to Robbie Gray. Todd Marshall and Sam Powell-Pepper. The Dogs, they slipped to 3 and 5. What's going on with the Western Bulldogs?
Well, that's the conversation after the Power started so poorly. They've won 3 straight, haven't they?
Yeah, they have. Yep,
so they've kind of maybe starting to turn their season around, need to win a lot more than they can lose from here. But Yeah, the Dogs on the
I
other
wonder if
hand,
anyone's ever made the finals from the 0-5 start.
not Carlton.
Nice.
So yeah, the kind of different trajectories here for these two with the Doggies, and you think with the squad the Dogs have, they should be doing better.
They played in a grand final last year. Bailey Smith, Jack McRae, Marcus
Is it the
Bontempelli.
hangover? Is it a bit of a hangover?
Yes, well, Melbourne's not having much of a hangover.
Yeah,
I
we're
suppose, but-
getting pumped, I guess, and we're losing against. We're getting dominated essentially in a grand final, not being, as competitive as you're probably hoping to be in that grand final.
And it always second half.
Yeah,
as well.
exactly.
Yeah,
So-
maybe. But you do look at that list and you think, geez, they could be,
Well, we thought they were top 4 squad.
they should be. I
That
suppose.
midfield is unbelievable. Maybe it's the problem they've got too many, and they just can't put the chemistry together.
Oh, I think they've played a pretty tough schedule. Could have something to do with it as
But
well.
you think they'd be beating a couple of those guys? You want them to be.
Well,
in this
they
game.
played Melbourne round 1.
beat Sydney.
They beat Sydney, who are pretty good. Where were we in round 4? Lost to Richmond. Former dynasty team, smacked the Kangaroos, water wet.
Losing the Crows was probably
that 1 point loss to the Crows probably hurts. Beat the Bombers, and that's a thing as well. Consistency when you're kind of going loss, win, loss, and the rest of it. They play Collingwood actually this Friday. That'll be a good matchup for them.
need to right the ship. I think
Yeah,
it is.
need to right the ship indeed. If only there was a mad Western Bulldogs fan that could come give us some insights at Chrome Dome if you're listening. Friday, well, halfway through this game, the other game started out west
and ended very, very quickly.
Yeah, Freo spanked the North Melbourne Kangaroos, 102 to 24 points
this week.
Yeah. Yes, usual suspects for Freo in Andrew Brayshaw, 34 disposals, looking pretty good in Brownlow votes, I'd imagine. Caleb Sarong, 27 for him. Sean Darcy, we always talk about him emerging as an elite ruckman, 17 disposals, 42 hitouts, and a sausage roll. Dominating against Todd Goldstein, who is probably sort of getting towards the end of his career. Jai Amos had his debut, went 8th overall in the draft, kicked 2 goals on debut. So very good for the East Perth product. Now, I saw something on the socials comparing the average age and average games played between these two teams, very similar. I think the average games was in about 70, and the average age was about 23. Obviously, the output, very, very different. So both young lists, both in very different situations. No one thought Freo would be this good, admittedly.
Yeah, only losing one game at this point.
7-1.
That's overs from where we thought they'd be.
Yeah, indeed. A lot of the chat is, are they the real deal? Are they going to be able to, go and lock horns with a Melbourne?
Yeah, well, didn't we look at this? They've got a few coming up that'll probably show.
They play the Suns next week.
Should beat them
Western
handily.
Bulldogs, who we were just talking about. that'll be a cracker. They play Melbourne Demons round 11, so that might be the litmus test.
I was thinking about this during the week. If for whatever reason the Dockers and say the Lions get to the grand final, considering what the Dockers team could have been, because Lachie Neale almost went back there this off season.
The Lachie Neale grand final matchup, with a massive choke from the Melbourne Demons.
Yeah, well, true. To get to that point, yes, the D's would have to have
Mate,
choked.
we'd think. Remember the run that Melbourne Storm were on last year? They didn't play in a grand final. You have to win those prelims, don't you?
But to think that potentially Lachie Neale could win a grand final with the Lions over the Dockers, who he potentially could have ended up at the start of the season and potentially will be there next year. I was like, some tasty bit of storylines there, but we're weeks and weeks away from that.
It is interesting. It is very interesting. Those next 3 weeks will really give us a nice, good grasp on where Fremantle are at. Don't count out the Gold Coast Suns. We'll get to them in just a second. Yesterday, the early game was Richmond Tigers beating Collingwood. 64,000 in at the G, if you don't mind, on a Saturday afternoon between these two big Melbourne clubs.
Was Dusty back?
No, not yet. See if you can find any articles from this week. I'm sure there's probably something written.
I think he's close.
I think he's close too. But again, who knows? It's essentially a personal decision. It's not like healing tissue.
Agree.
Yeah. Well, it kind of is like healing tissue, actually. The brain is tissue. But it's a mental thing versus a physical thing. Harder to put timelines on those. Now, someone that would be feeling pretty good mentally would be Tom Lynch. He currently leads the Coleman race. He's in some great nick after booting 7. Was it last week or the week before? Booted 6 this week. 25 disposals, 11 marks for a key forward. That is absolutely redonkulous. And Big Toby, Nank the Tank Nankervis, had himself a day with no Brodie Grundy, unfortunately for Collingwood. Did his PCL on Anzac Day. They're looking at a good portion of the rest of the season for their star ruckman.
Tools and knee injuries don't go well.
No. So Nank the Tank had 23 disposals, 33 hitouts going up against Darcy Cameron in the ruck, who normally plays a chop-out role for Brodie Grundy and plays as a key forward. Richmond starting to get their season back on track, I think, after a little bit of a sloppy start. And Collingwood, a lot of people were saying that they would be sort of cellar dwellers or, not that good this year. They sit 9th and Richmond sits 8th.
Yeah,
so
mid-tier. I think they're mid-tier.
Both mid-tier, yeah.
They've kind of lived up to that.
Yeah.
Richmond potentially could go further based on whether Dusty can gets back in the squad.
Imagine, Dusty comes back and,
He played.
Yeah. I thought he played this week.
Yeah.
Fuck up. Well, sorry, man. I'm sorry. I was at a baby shower.
No.
I'm sure I heard the chat that Dusty played, and then you shut me down. I was like, well, you watch more than I do. So
I was at, making excuses now, but there you go. Dusty was back.
Fair play.
That's
give some stats. Give some stats for Dusty.
It was 2-1, 23 disposals, 15.
You kicked 2 goals, Peps.
I was celebrating new life. I didn't catch it. Sue me. There's someone that writes
at Frank the Tank.
There's at Frank the Tank at Devon Booker, another clanger. There's someone that writes 98% of these notes. The other 2 blokes on my left and right could fucking sit down for 5 minutes on their laptop and help out.
That is true.
It's better when we stitch you up.
Okay, Dusty plays. All right. Yeah, the best player in the AFL for the last 10 years played yesterday. I missed it.
I mean, you're close at the start. You said it was very close to returning.
Very close as in yesterday.
Anyway. So Richmond get the job there. The Gold Coast beating Sydney. What did you boys think of that? The Suns actually getting an upset here.
Well, the Suns are one to upset a few teams. Carlton being one.
They've got talent in that squad. Everyone, they're not like where, say, West Coast were this week, playing a reserve grade squad, or where, like, say, the Kangaroos are playing a very young squad. They've got developed talent there.
Well, Gold Coast is all these young stars, like, in your Matt Rouse and you Took Miller.
Yep.
So Took Miller's not that young. But then you've also got these old rejects, essentially, from other clubs in Hotboy, Levi, Casbolt and Marbio Chol. They're key forwards, and they're going out there and beating Sydney Swans, who we're talking about sneaky premiership.
Dark horse,
yeah. So if there's a team that loves an upset and a tip killer and a multi-killer, it's the Gold Coast Suns.
Yeah.
But good on them too.
Yeah, I'll ask James this question. Did Buddy play in this game or was he managed?
Buddy did play.
There you go.
The joys of trying to follow 10 sports at once, eh?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, and someone wants to talk about the fucking hockey. Jesus Christ.
Stanley Cup, bro, it's on.
Oh, yeah.
That's a long running Esky joke. So there we go.
Yeah, long running.
Yeah.
Go back through our archives to see where that's at.
For some shit ice chat. These Stanley Cup playoffs are underway at the moment.
Yes, go Avs. Number 1 seed.
From the Stanley Cup to Reece Stanley, Geelong. Yes, segues.
Nice.
Didn't play in this one, I don't think. Mark Blitzavs.
What happened to the Giants in this one?
They got demolished, and Blitzavs, I think, had to play in the ruck because they didn't have a ruckman, and it didn't fucking matter because they destroyed GWS here in Canberra. Jeremy Cameron, he hammered his old team, booting 4, I think, on the left foot snap, 1 on the right. Very, very dangerous, marking in the pocket and finishing strong. The Cats, they are 5-3. A lot of speculation around
exactly where I think
is their list too old and this and that? Well, no, they're old, but they're superstars. And yeah, the Giants, after being pretty promising last week against the Crows in maybe resurrecting their season, they're reeling at 2-6.
Yeah, I don't think Giants were going to trouble any of the big squads this year.
Yeah,
And Geelong, like they are, like you say, an older squad, but they'll win over 60% of their matches this year, and they'll be there in the finals in some capacity.
I thought the Giants would be a little bit better.
Especially with Toby Green back. I thought
Toby Green,
makes
makes a huge difference. We spoke at length last week about him coming back and the injection that he has into that squad. Disappointing showing from the Giants there. Freezing cold in Canberra. Maybe
that was the problem. Guys from out west in Sydney there.
You wouldn't
still have people. Yeah,
I suppose
Geelong's travelling up.
Yeah, I suppose Geelong can get a little bit chilly. But yeah, nice May conditions yesterday in the nation's capital. It wasn't quite the snow that we've seen in previous.
It was cold
previous times.
Today it was cold yesterday. Monks, your Bombers got over Hawthorn. What did you think of that one?
I've got to confess I did not watch the game. So perhaps you're still doing better than I am.
Yeah, thanks, man. At least I watched my teams this weekend. Didn't see Dusty, so apologies to Dusty.
Monks has been playing with a puppy all day. So
new puppy.
New puppy.
Yeah, cute little fella. Wedge.
Wedge.
As in, what's the angle on it? 60 degree? 58 degree wedge?
Yeah,
I thought you were going with that was going to be a good joke there. Like, what's the angle of the name you're going for with wedge? But
it's a golf reference.
Yeah, it was good enough.
Out of something that I can't hit very well.
Anyway, they beat Hawthorn.
It's a club in the bag, so I can't hit it that well.
Bombers beat Hawthorn. Hawthorn, who had been probably playing a bit overs.
I reckon so.
Young squad.
Well, that's half the reason why I didn't really pay too much attention. I thought going up against Hawthorn, they probably wouldn't really get it done.
Yeah, recent form.
But
2 metre Peter, he kicked 6. Big Peter Wright had himself a night. I'm a poet and I didn't know it. No one saw anything. I saw quick highlights on that game. So, Monks, might have to watch your team next week.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe.
Into a man that did watch his team, or most of it, last night. Had a pretty handy win. The Brisbane Lions coming out 75-point winners over the West Coast Eagles. A lot of sort of talk during the week about the line in this game and the fact that the Eagles were going to miss 6 to 8 players with the COVID.
What they have, the 22 list?
Yeah, they had 22 AFL listed players available.
Yeah.
So everyone unless they wanted to play a VFL player, everyone on their AFL list had to play.
Yeah.
So pretty hard going up against it. Although, and we've spoken about it before, a lot of those listed players are premiership winners from only 4 years ago.
They've got talent.
So maybe the aging kind of stuff needs to get directed more at West Coast than Geelong.
Agree.
What was your take on this one?
Well, I think Flying Ryan was the best for West Coast. I think he got
Flying
3.
Ryan, he kicked 3,
Yeah, got 3 for them. So
he is for flying and he is Ryan.
But I think the rain probably saved West Coast in this one. Because it was a very slow and sloppy start to the game. A lot of playing around inside the West Coast's 50 area. But you couldn't really turn that into points. And I think it eased a little bit in the second half, and then Brisbane ran away with it. Could have been a lot more points had there been a little bit more, drier conditions.
Dry
track,
faster track.
Yeah. So
if someone
they get pumped by 70, and we were saying that was probably unders, you see what the expectation was.
Well, if someone who punted on this game wanted to check the fucking weather, maybe I wouldn't have taken them minus 99.5, which was paying a juicy $4.20, I believe.
We made the wrong assumption that playing in Brisbane Gabba would be hot, nice and dry, ready to go.
And a little bit of AFL NRL crossover chat. Magic round meant to be absolutely pissing down. So me and my punters club.
Hopefully no floods in Brisbane while there.
Hopefully no floods. BYO canoe to the swamp down Caxton Street. A few swamp rats aboard the canoe. As well, no episode next week, but maybe some live vids on the
socials.
On the socials, I'm sure that'll be high quality viewing.
Melbourne continue their unbeaten streak.
Yep.
The only unbeaten squad in Australia currently.
Well, there's a huge caveat. Professional, big league.
Professional big league, yes.
Yeah.
Well, I think we looked at most of them and they
most
were...
of them are in finals now. And
Yeah, exactly. And some of those have already had losses. So I think D's could potentially be very close to, as in top grade professional sports, being the only undefeated team currently. Because we checked the rugby, we even checked the netball, I believe, and there was no one undefeated there. So... good on them. Keep their streak rolling. Got over St Kilda here. Did it easy by all accounts.
Yeah, like shout out to St Kilda with not getting absolutely pumped. It had a lot of kind of vibes of that Melbourne
Maxi hitting six.
Melbourne Hawthorn game as well, where kudos for not getting completely blown out. They still lost by a quick mass 38 points. 3 goals for Big Ben Brown, 3 goals for Cozzy Pickett. Look, talking about the Melbourne Demons is like talking about the Melbourne Storm at the moment. I suppose, well, no, it's not quite the same because you've got Penrith. You've got a clear grand final matchup starting to form in the NRL.
Yeah, well, who's 2? Brisbane are 2 at the moment.
Yeah, and I don't think it's the same comparison. I don't think it's
Brisbane are playing really well.
Same comparison. It's Freo. It's Freo.
Technically Freo, yeah.
Yeah, Freo. Yeah. So it's Freo and Brisbane kind of.
They're both 7-1. It's just percentage.
Yes.
But it's I don't think it's quite the same comparison to
like
the NRL.
professional kind of like that level of long time dominance at the top there, as we see with the Storm and Penrith. So. Indeed.
And Carlton getting a big win in the late game on Sunday. 100th career goal for Charlie Curnow. Can you bring up the stats from that one? How many he kicked in the end? Obviously, the third and fourth quarters unfolding, I should say, whilst we were live on air. Charlie Curnow had to be one of the most unlucky guys for quite some time last year. He went through knee dislocations, ongoing ligament problems, a few head knocks. He was the 3rd overall draft pick back in 2015, 2016, something like that. And just always looks like a superstar when he's fit and healthy, and just hasn't really had a nice, long, fit and healthy run.
Yep.
So as a Blue Bagger fan, really good to see him back in form, kicking goals, kicking his 100th goal. Did he? Well, he finished with 6.
6, yeah.
Yeah. Pretty handy. Thanks very much.
Yeah.
And shout out to Big Harry Mackay. He kicked 3. Peps's. It's like the money back multi on the weekend where you're kind of going at a sort of 3-1, 4-1 multi to try and win your money back. Chase your losses, etc. They can't run forever, etc.
No, your luck.
Thank you to Charlie Curnow, Harry Mackay, Carlton, and Patrick Cripps for getting that one home to get back a little bit of cash. Do you know what's been killing me? The NBA.
NBA?
The NBA has been killing my wallet, but it has been enticing my eyes. We have got 4.
I'll be back.
4 games, 4 series, I should say, which are all at 2-1. One team leading the other 2-1.
Yep.
The broom is gone. There's no brooms here. The sweep is gone. So let's have a look, and we'll start in the East. Now, Philly, Miami. The big story being around Joel Embiid. His fractured orbital, missed the first 2 games. The Heat win comfortably down in Miami.
Yep.
Embiid comes back yesterday. He's wearing the mask, and he didn't go off. He didn't go mad.
Yeah.
But what he did, I think, was free up, draw defenders and free up his teammates and kind of enable them, to score at a better rate. So Danny Green, who essentially had been garbage in the first 2 games. I think he was 2 from 14 from 3-point land.
Yeah, that's not what you want.
No, he went off yesterday. He scored 21 points. Tyrese Maxey scores 21 points. Even with a 33 from Jimmy Butler, the 76ers go out and they win by 20 at Wells Fargo Center to get the series of 2-1, with the next game going to be in Philadelphia as well. So it's interesting to see the possible MVP. I think it's their second favourite MVP in Joel come back and play. He's also got a broken thumb to play with 2 fractures and just not play like the lights out kind of player that we've seen.
But just being that presence on the court.
Yeah, exactly right. And we saw Bam Adebayo kind of feast in those first 2 games as well.
Yeah.
The big centre from the Miami Heat, and then Embiid able, to go up and he's got to compete. 2 of the best centers in the NBA going at it, and it kind of it swings everything back in towards Philadelphia being able to win.
Yeah.
So interesting. They play. When did they played yesterday? So they play tomorrow, our time, I think, in game 4. And it'll be interesting if they tie that series up at 2-2. Goodness knows what could happen from there if this series goes to a Desmond Tutu. Yes, that one is at 10 a.m. tomorrow, Australian Eastern Time. Now, the other matchup in the East, we've got the Celtics jersey up. We've got my weird-ass Chinese Milwaukee Bucks shirt that took fucking 10 weeks to get here. So the Bucks and the Celtics also at 2-1, as aforementioned. In the first game, we saw Drew Holiday, or as Charles Barkley likes to call him, Drew Hollandaise. Not actually, but that's a little ongoing joke. Yeah. Bucks win game 1. Celtics win the second game quite comfortably without Marcus Smart, the defensive player of the year.
Yeah, we were really worried about the Celtics leading into the series as well.
Yeah, which is, it's weird because they smoked the Nets. They were the only team to sweep in the first round. But yeah, when you lose a guy like Marcus Smart, can you chase up? I don't think he's out for long. Hard to get wins. They kept the Milwaukee Bucks to 86 points, I suppose, as well. Chris Middleton being out, Giannis has really got to try to carry them. He led them for points, rebounds, and assists in game 2.
Do you think it's because the Celtics lack, a superstar name that they could kind of get underrated a little bit?
Maybe. I think Jason Tatum is putting his hand up as superstar. Like, he's been
in this series as well.
He's been a star, but I think he's really kind of pushing towards superstar. But you're right. It's not like the Bucks who are really Giannis heavy. They're definitely
who the faces. Everyone's talking about
they're more of a team, I suppose, rather than just relying on their big man. And speaking of their big man, They go back to Milwaukee, and Milwaukee gets the win yesterday with 42 from the Greek Freak, 12 rebounds, 8 assists. He does everything and can literally put that team on his back without Middleton and gets the win. And they play do they play tomorrow? No, they play the day after our time at home. So big concerns there for the Celtics, I suppose. Although the bookies have got the Bucks at $1.87 and the Celtics at $1.97, so they think might be a bit of a close one there at Fiserv Forum in Milwaukee.
Yeah. So Smart did play.
He played,
but he didn't do much at all.
Minutes?
He played for 29 minutes.
So maybe a little bit managed there. You'd expect him to probably go out and play high 30s in this next game. Let's move over to the West, where I've got in the notes there, the Phoenix Suns are playing Luka Doncic.
Pretty much.
Doncic, I should say. Game 1, the Suns get the win at home there in Phoenix, despite Luka putting up 45 points, 12 rebounds, 8 assists. No other Maverick scored 15 points. The Suns playing that team ball that we saw last year as well, with Ayton top scoring with 25, but then also having handy contributions from Booker and CP3 and Jay Crowder and the like, and they were able to do the same in game 2. They win that one 129-109, despite 35 from Luka. And then Luka finally gets some help. They go back to Dallas and they win game 3, 103-94. Jalen Brunson had 28 points and Maxi Kleber was very efficient. We've seen his three-point shooting come along leaps and bounds. If they can jag this this game 4 at home again. It's like it's like the Philly Heat kind of series where you go down 2-0, but then you go home, you win game 3.
Yeah, build up that momentum.
Yeah, a bit of momentum. Put the pressure really back on them. It'd be interesting. But
the Mavs have been good at home as well. They were very good last year during the playoff series. So, and I think I saw before this third game, their coach very much came out and said Luka can't do everything for us. Essentially, I think he put his team on blast a little bit. It's like, you guys need to step up and support him. Yeah. Otherwise, he's going to do everything he can, but without you guys helping him, we're not going to get wins. So, it seems like they turned it on at home. Hopefully, they can continue that run.
That game 4 is tomorrow out. Tomorrow our time. That's the early one, 5:30.
Yes, early game.
Yeah. Oh, well. Have to be up for anyways, I suppose. Straight into it. And then maybe the most enticing matchup is this Grizzlies-Warriors. That's probably unfair. All of the matchups seem pretty enticing. Yeah, I think this has been my favourite.
Yeah, and I think the highlight reel that is Jay Morant leading into this has kind of built this storyline and drawn eyeballs. Like, people are tuning in to see that, and of course, then you go up against an elite team in the Warriors. Like, it's kind of just escalated all together. So, yeah, it's been a good series, been an interesting series. It's also had a few.
Niggles. Yeah. So we saw in game 1, Draymond getting ejected for the hit on Brandon Clark there. Ja himself scored 34. He drove for the layup under sort of a double team to try and get the win. And when I say layup, a very difficult one at that. Wasn't quite able to get it, and the Warriors win by 1 point in that one. Jordan Poole, I've got him down there in the notes as the splash triplets. He had 31 points, 9 assists, official triplets. He's in there now. It's not just the Splash Brothers in Steph and Clay. It's official, Esky official, Splash triplets. Welcome, Jordan Poole, to the triplets.
He's been excellent for them definitely in the finals.
Definitely. And we've seen, a lot of people talking about Steph's shooting slump, although he's been quite good in the playoffs, and Clay maybe. Both those guys maybe not where they were when they were winning, back to back and being essentially a dynasty team before that little slump over the last few years.
Well, that's health related.
That's right. Well, Clay barely played in the last 2 years, but
Curry's been hurt as well.
And Curry's been in and out. We've seen guys like Jordan Poole. We've seen guys like Andrew Wiggins really step up their game, and the Warriors they look pretty scary. Now, the Grizzlies did win game 2, essentially all off the back of Ja Morant. He scored 47 points, and he did win the most improved player. He was short odds to take that one out. Yep. So he's gone Rookie of the Year, then All-Star, then Most Improved Player.
MVP next year, is that what you're saying?
He's definitely got that kind of trajectory. Yeah, definitely got that kind of trajectory. We were looking at him and kind of dropped off towards the end in the MVP race.
He's a big man kind of taken over.
Yeah, in the year of the big man, but he's so fun to watch. Now, Dylan Brooks, he got ejected after 3 minutes in this game for a flagrant 2 on Gary Payton Jr. This was really bad. I reckon.
Play it again.
Gary Payton broke his elbow. I did see this. It's the swipe. Yeah. It's the swipe on his head.
Puts him off balance. He kind of lands back seat on his elbow. The rules are you got to touch the ball, and he's missed everything.
Well, yeah,
he missed,
and not just missed everything. Slaps his head.
Yeah.
Boom! That's right arm into the head.
Will Kennedy's getting a month for that. So
yeah, definitely, and that comes into the chat as well. Like, Gary Payton's going to miss for probably 4 weeks.
Hyperextends that elbow.
Yeah, nasty, and probably misses 4 weeks at a minimum.
Yeah.
And then Dylan Brooks misses this. Gets
it's lucky he did like a ligament in his elbow.
Gets chucked out, and then he probably did do a ligament as well. Yeah. Thanks, Dr. Sean. But he might have just been a break. But it comes down to that. Does the injury, should that be taken into account in the suspension? Because Dylan Brooks cops 1 game and will be good to go in game 4.
Does it matter that it was a fall though? Like is an instigated fall.
It's different over there as well, obviously.
Yeah, like if he's running down the sideline and you clothesline the bloke trying to, as he's going to the... But he's in the air and you've bumped him and he's landed badly.
And it's hard to compare. Maybe it's a rough comparison between rugby league and the NBA.
Well, yeah, football and that.
But that's bad. But
for NBA comparison, like
bad.
within the constitution of NBA, that's bad.
Yeah. And it's not. It wasn't intentional in any way. It was just. It just seemed very lazy with it.
Well, he didn't want to break his elbow. No.
Yeah.
He wanted to hard foul him.
Yeah. He wanted to whack him.
Exactly. Yeah. So that in terms of intent,
And then the unlucky fall, like just getting the elbow in the wrong spot, and it's not giving essentially. It locks in, and then it causes the injury.
The thing is, Dylan Brooks has been playing pretty good. He's been averaging 18 points a game, I think, in the playoffs. They were able to win.
It's not good visuals, let's put it that way.
They were able to win without him, essentially off the back of Jar in game 2. But now they go to San Francisco. They got pretty well dicked today. The Warriors put up 142 points. Shout out to Jonathan Kuminga. Starts for the Warriors, 19-year-old rookie, the youngest starter in a playoff game since 1971. Only played 18 minutes, but scored 18. So pretty handy.
Not bad.
Just there. Jar 34 points in the losing effort. I think this is my favourite one, just in terms of we've got this old dynasty team in the Warriors that have been out there and won multiple rings and
then the young superstar
on the rise. And then the young on the rise, changing of the guard. Perhaps if they can get through them as well. The Warriors, despite the down last 2 years, in that run where they were just making finals flat stick,
they're healthy now and they've got all the talent back.
And under Steve Kerr, they've never lost a playoff series. They always get to the final. The only time they've ever lost postseason is final series. Shout out to LeBron, essentially, and the and the Kawhi Raptors for getting that done. Anyways, both conference semi-final or all four conference semi-finals at 2-1. Brooms away, no sweeps. Really interesting time in the year for the NBA.
Definitely.
Very much so.
Sean Monks, I might pass it over to you just to carry us for 90 seconds.
Just before you go, Coley opened this game. What do you think he scored?
Yeah, I'm going to say 0.
Yeah, first ball.
First
ball.
Virat Kohli's form slump continues. You hate to see it as an Australian cricket fan. You hate to see it. Hate to see Maxwell out there scoring runs as an Australian cricket fan. You hate to see it.
Maxwell, he's been a bit slow here to start off, but
by his standards.
Yes. Yeah. I think he's 15 from 11. So.
2 for 125. They could go nuts.
Yeah, with 5 to go.
Yeah, with plenty in the shed. I am about to burst my bladder, boys. Yes. Don't say anything dumb like I would say in the next 2 minutes.
We're going to struggle to actually say anything.
We're going to enunciate while you're gone. So.
At Dusty Martin.
Leading into the NFL.
Yes, let's jump into the NFL, Monks. And I think we've got to talk about Brown trades. Wide receivers named Brown. Because this Hollywood Brown trade actually ended up being quite interesting. Because during the week, DeAndre Hopkins gets pegged for PEDs. Some reports of like 3 different types of HGH and beaver tranquilizer is what he popped for. The beaver tranquilizer, I think, being the masking agent in this. He was appealing it, and they dropped the appeal. And then, of course, he's got his suspension. But by all accounts, the Cards knew this was on the cards. Sheesh. And he's coming through. This is why they did this Julio Brown trade. But the story of this was, I don't remember what party said it. It potentially could be Hollywood's party. Between the Ravens and Cards, if anyone had leaked this trade was going to happen, it was going to be cancelled. So one of the teams said, if this breaks the news...
Did hear rumours about this. They wanted to keep it real low-key.
Real low-key, because like Lamar Jackson, of course, being the quarterback there, knew nothing about it. And, of course, he's traded over there. He will be essentially the starting number 1 for them while Hopkins is out. So it makes more sense now to add a weapon like Hollywood over there. But also, I think with Hollywood's statements, I think at the end of the last year and then before even the last season had happened, he was very much, overplaying for the Ravens. and I think it was more a Greg Roman problem, as in the offensive coordinator there of run first, running back, tight end first, Lamar Jackson. You know, that philosophy. That's what they're built and designed for. And to be a true number one receiver, trying to get 100 balls and 1,000 yards and 10 TDs in a season.
Get that production.
Yeah, just to get paid, seeing all these other boys getting paid. You're more likely going to do that at the Cardinals, who are like a 3 to 4 wide out set team constantly, and going to throw the ball a fuck ton, uncompared to the Ravens, who won't do that as much. So disappointing for Lamar, but a very interesting kind of storyline there for Hollywood Brown. If we then go to AJ Brown, I did remember actually seeing this on Instagram. He was training with Jalen Hurts a week before the draft. Got traded to the Eagles. He's had that 4-year, $100 million deal basically done as the trade was done. So they probably knew a week in advance, and we probably should have put 2 and 2 together that he was already out there training with Jalen, that was going to happen. So some interesting chat there for the reasoning behind the two big trades that happened during the NFL draft. And really the other stories in the NFL this week would be more tidbits. Tannehill kind of saying he doesn't want to mentor Malik Willis, and I think the soundbite was probably misused a bit. I think it was more like less of I'm mentoring him like direct one-on-one. It's more like I've got the team to lead. I've got to lead the team. I've got to work on winning for the Titans, and through that he's probably going to learn a whole shitload of stuff from me. So
two very different quarterbacks as well.
Yeah, exactly.
So you've got Malik Willis who's getting the Lamar Jackson kind of hype.
The comparison.
The comparison. Whereas Tannehill, doesn't have that. Well, he's got sneaky wheels.
He's got sneaky wheels.
Sneaky wheels, but
that's not
definitely more
style.
Definitely more of a pocket passer and hand the ball off to King Henry kind of quarterback.
Exactly, and they
you
use
have to run when you got King Henry as your running back.
You've got a cheat code as your running back.
They use Cam Newton as a comparison because when Will Greer, I think, was drafted by them, he basically said, it's my job to get everyone prepared and ready for a game on Sunday, and that includes him. So maybe a slightly different, but I think the same sort of message is like we're the leaders of the entire club. We're not going to focus one-on-one and specifically on like, here's how you fix your 5-step drop back, your heels high or whatever, because that's the quarterback coach's job. He's more or less like, well, this is what I'm going to do in the game plan, and he'll be in the same quarterback room and they will share things between each other. But it's not like his full-time job to to teach him everything. That's
it.
The QB coach.
I heard the Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers sort of comparison as well.
Okay.
In terms of that, I guess.
Yeah.
That relationship.
Do you think Aaron Rodgers learnt nothing from Brett Favre in the 3 years he sat behind?
God, no.
He learnt fuck tons, of course.
Exactly right. Yeah. Also, Tannehill to Malik Willis. Being compared to Favre, Rodgers, that's a little bit of pressure on the young bloke.
Big.
Also, the relationship between the two.
Speaking very highly of Ryan Tannehill as well.
Yeah. Relationship, not legacy.
So, Jerry Jones was in a car crash during the week as well.
Is he okay?
He was in hospital. I think, old fellas in car crashes generally not a good good idea.
Anyone in car crashes.
From what I've seen some pictures from other people's dash cam, it looks like he potentially ran a red light and got T-boned. So,
the old dash cam, everything is on the internet these days. It's fucking wild.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly. And us three Muppets included. Speaking of social media, the final story we had today was I think Justin Bieber put out a little TikTok and saying, tell us something honest. And then Tom Brady did his little sneaky, double check and just look around and he said, the tuck rule, the tuck fumble, it might have been a fumble.
Here we've got the interaction of two people that transcend their industries and can do whatever the fuck they want, essentially.
But there was a follow-up to this, and Charles Woodson, who was on the Raiders team, I think, caused that fumble. It was just like, is this what we're doing now? Like, come on.
Interesting, because that rule came in because
the tuck rule exists because of
that. the Raiders Patriots game. Check that out if you are just a casual
bit of
NFL
history.
fan. Yeah, bit of history
Yeah.
there. I don't know. It's a pretty Brady kind of thing to do. Like
He's a massive media presence now.
Yeah,
and,
he
like,
doesn't.
He's just
care.
enjoying himself.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a great talking point.
The views.
We're
that you
talking
get,
about it. People
you
are going to
know,
view the shit out of
yeah,
it.
they just love it.
Yeah.
But yeah, any Raiders fans probably watching that just go, "Fuck
a
you,
little bit-
Brady!
just a little bit dirty."
You good-looking, age-defying motherfucker."
And so I guess the last thing I wanted to talk about, we don't have to go into winners and losers from the draft, but interesting note, the Jets, they picked Bryce Hall in the second round, who was the top running back available. So they got him, Wilson, and Johnson from memory.
I'll bring up.
Oh, no, they got Sauce. Sorry, Sauce, Wilson,
Yeah.
Hall, and did they get Johnson as well?
We'll bring it up.
I think that was their lot. So they've done excellent there. Of course, I'm slightly a bit annoyed that they picked up Hall, considering I've got Michael Carter there potentially as a keeper. But
in your fantasy team.
yeah, I thought it was interesting considering they've got Carter there, that they might want to free him and play him more as an every down back. But Bryce Hall very much built like an every down back. But I just wanted to, they've got the potentially number one cornerback out of this draft, potentially number one wide receiver, the third defensive end by some people's accounts, and then the number one running back.
Pretty good draft from the New York Jets.
Yeah, they've been doing well in the last couple of years, and that will continue. And I'm
was-
quite impressed with their what they've done.
And we said in the NFL draft companion, the NFL wants a strong New York.
I just want to see if they pick Johnson or if I'm making that up. No, they'd be down the bottom.
Yep.
Jermaine Johnson.
It is Jermaine
that's
Johnson.
right.
It's not touchscreen, bro.
I know. I was I was pointing at it for you. Yeah, because it's a cheap Mac.
That's a cheap Mac.
Yeah,
Just
Monks
stand-
Dell half price that is good touchscreen. So
Oh, it's so funny.
Yeah.
Just standard, dribbler here, cruise around with Apple because, everyone has it. And then you
Fanboy.
you talk with some actual guys that know a little bit about IT and, yeah, apparently they're no good. Anyway. Thanks, Steve Jobs.
yeah. Summarize Jets good. Very happy with what they've done.
Jets good in terms of what they've done.
Yes.
Yep.
Jets good in a hard division.
Yeah, like I said, hopefully they'll get to 5 wins this year. But they're like the last 2, like this year and last year, put those 2 years together. They're finally, hopefully transitioning. They've gotten out of the Adam Gaze era and they've had full circle and potentially looking ahead to more winning football. I really like what they're saying.
Just having a look at their running backs that got taken, it's a hard time to be a running back in
Well,
the
Walker
NFL.
as well, and then you think,
Yep.
and I was thinking Chris Carson and Penny over there already, and Rashad Penny kind of had a breakout towards the last half of the year.
Yeah. But also neither of them maybe true number one feature backs in
I guess so.
the NFL. But yeah, Seattle probably had
It's the way of the position. They need multiple. It's a long season.
and
so.
Seattle had needs elsewhere as well. So interesting that Kenneth Walker was the second running back.
Interesting
taken.
point from the Seahawks. They said during the week that they thought if Drew Lock was in this draft class, he would be the first first quarterback taken. So, of course, being the Denver fan, I thought highly of Lock and his talents. Just hadn't had the opportunities, unfortunately, in Denver. Old coach wanting veteran players to play ahead of him. So, yeah, see how he goes to Seahawks. They didn't draft any quarterback in this draft.
No.
So they're very much
Locked
locked into Lock.
Locked it in on a lock. Nice. The other second round running back taken, fresh off, discovering Australia, James Cook, running back out of Georgia.
Yeah.
So
Dalvin's little brother.
out of the first 2 rounds, 3 running backs taken. It's it's a hard time to be a running back, I guess, in the NFL these days. The other thing I saw, isn't there a Kobe Bryant that?
Yeah,
got
spelt with a C. Yes.
Yes, and also taken
Some
by
Seahawks. He
Seattle. He's
graduated
named
today.
after Kobe Bryant of Kobe with a K fame.
And I think he graduated today with an engineering degree. Monks, you might want to confirm this because
We are talking about C.O.B.Y. Bryant.
He wanted to build prosthetics for veterans, and that's
So-
why he got into engineering.
So he's smart as fuck, boy. There's a former NFL player that's a neurosurgeon as well. That's crazy. like, oh yeah, done with my NFL career. Might just become a neurosurgeon.
True. Everyone, we can shit on the NCAA and scholarships, etc. But forcing guys to go through a university system, a college system, it does help.
Yeah,
it does help. For guys going through those systems, take available what's in front of you and use it. And because the NFL career is on average 3 years.
Two, I've heard. Yeah.
Well, it's under. I think it's moved, so it's like 2.8 or something now. So.
The bloke that I was thinking of there, Myron Roll, former safety with the Tennessee Titans. He's 35 years of age and he is a neurosurgeon. Yeah. So, when people say, well, it's not neurosurgery, he can say, it is.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
I'm still finding any notes on Kobe, but he is going to be wearing number 8.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in honour of Kobe Bryant.
Yeah. No news on the degree, though.
I saw someone graduate today. Let me look that up.
It may be a different engineer. All right. Are we happy with our NFL chat other than chasing up some kind of engineer?
Yeah.
All right. Let's get us into the On The Esky final round. Ding, ding. Okay, UFC 274 goes down today. We spoke about it at the top of the show. Charles Oliveira misses weight by half a pound, 220-odd grams, one human shit. I'm going to say that. I reckon I've done shits that are 220 grams. It's maybe like a nice steak. So,
at least,
Yeah, one in, one out kind of mentality there. Monks, if you wouldn't mind just bringing up the results, please, from today. We do have a new women's strawweight champion in Carla Esparza. I think we'll maybe start from the top and then just go through the top end, of the main card. So let's start with Oliveira versus Justin Gaethje. So he misses weight. The UFC, they say the fight is going to go ahead. However, there'll be no champion. It'll be vacated for a while.
So Gaethje can win the belt, but Oliveira
can win it, but Oliveira can't win it. And then
7-4.
And then Oliveira can be the number one contender.
Yeah, would be the number one contender fighting whoever for that vacant belt if he wins.
What's our thoughts on that? You miss weight, which in and itself is a weird kind of thing.
So
a man called Joe Rogan has kind of speculated a fair bit.
Well, weight cutting. As a comparison, when Oliveira, because he missed weight by either we couldn't exactly agree on whether it was a pound or half a pound, but he was over by a little bit. So then he had another hour to try to cut that weight. While he's losing that weight, Justin Gaethje had already put on 10 pounds. So he jumped on the scale. I think it was, in the mid 160s at that point, and it was like, this guy's still trying to cut weight, and I'm already gaining. So
the weight cut discussion, it's
10%. Usually the guys put 10%.
It's
on.
wild. It's not good for you. Like surely, going out to fight someone and potentially get tagged in your head after you've dropped 20 pounds, or however
it
much.
is advantageous though, size-wise. Like if you can have a size advantage, it definitely helps, unfortunately.
But it's going to be a discussion. As long as the UFC has the current setup with weight cutting, it's going to be a discussion. The only thing is to have more divisions.
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah, and maybe don't go crazy like boxing, but for these guys, the 155 to 170. You maybe bump that to 175 and put a 165 in there to start with.
And obviously the big one being light heavyweight to heavyweight. Massive jump.
Yeah, it's like put it either every 10 or if you do really want to add a whole bunch more, then put it every 5. But you don't go where boxing is. It's every half pound. So
5 pounds is 2.2 kilos. Yeah, like it's not much.
It's overkill. I think 10's a good spot.
I think 10 would be good. I'd be happy to see 2 or 3 more divisions if that.
They're trying to kill off all the lower ones, so they're not going to go lower. It's more just like middle in that middle bracket. So whether you get
poor little fellas,
you get a light heavyweight. Heavyweight becomes heavyweight, and then there's a super heavyweight.
We've seen some wars between Figgy and Marino, and Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson. The goat of the little fellas, but obviously there gets to a point where they start thinking about eyeballs and that said, this lightweight division is pretty fucking stacked, and I imagine there would have been a lot of eyeballs on
that's the thing. You've got the tighter the divisions are now, they've got more guys competing in the same pool versus if they try to spread it out and then
rather than fighting for 15
they've got 700 fighters, I think, on
8.
on contract. So they've still got shitloads of guys that are trying to get through the divisions.
Yeah, sure.
Anyway, so the rule is they actually did change it recently. So non-championship fights, you get the £half extra. So you, and I think 20 odd guys were a £half or more over on this scale.
That's fucked. So was there something wrong with the scale?
Well, that's the chat. They reset the scale overnight. The guy that was operating the scale was a bit of a stickler. But Charles Oliveira, unfortunately for him, he's in a championship fight, so he's got to make the exact weight, which is 155.
Different rules for
Doesn't
champions.
get that leniency, which is what he was over. But
and is that
based on his team, they were at that the night before, and they were ready to go. They were happy to you know, they're on that scale before it got reset. Yada yada. It didn't matter in the end. Charles Oliveira, you know, a bit of a gunfight to start with. You know, I think I'm not sure who dropped who, but they got to the ground and then Charles locked in the rear naked choke, and that was it. Justin's night was over. If he had the title, would have equaled Khabib for most title defenses.
Really?
In lightweight. So
does this break his
I don't think it counts.
Well, it doesn't count.
It doesn't count. So does it?
Yeah, it's a number one contenders fight essentially.
Yeah, it just gets stripped of being a championship fight. Which is
we
so
all know
weird.
he's a champion. Of
course. He got Justin Gaethje, who's a killer in the first round.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it comes down to one human shit.
Yes. or what is it? How many poots have come? What were we talking about before?
It's a lot of human cum would have to come out.
At least 100.
Yeah, it's not much whale cum.
No.
Yeah,
drop in the ocean for whale cum.
Hope you have a job tomorrow.
Hey, James started that chat pre-podcast, so I'll handball it to him. Anyway,
If you're interested in how much a blue whale jizzes, it's about 20 litres.
35 pints, we were told.
Yeah, 35 pints, fair bit of jizz.
And we head into the biology
The biology
Yep.
segment.
You got to get
this chat with my brother.
full class on the Esky is what we're talking about.
Of course. Well, I got to see my brother for about 90 minutes whilst he was up from Melbourne, and we did discuss which animal would jizz the most, and the blue whale obviously is the main contender, being the heaviest animal. And we were thinking about 100 litres, but it turns out it's about 20 litres. There you go. A bit of jizz chat for you on the Esky into the women's straw weight. Now, Carla...
That's the worst segue in history. Keep going, though.
20 litres. It's like half of what these women weigh.
Stop it. Keep going.
In jizz. So the women's strawweight, Carla Esparza, she defeats the incumbent champion in Rose Namajunas in what has been described as a bit of a snooze fest.
Yeah, I saw them at the bell, and neither of them looked like they'd taken significant damage. Must have been a fair bit of wrestling involved in this. Split decision here, so I think one gave it to, well, of course, one gave it to Rose 47-48, and then one gave it 48-47 to Carlo, but then someone gave it 49-46 to 4 rounds to 1 in the favour of Carlo. So
that says something about the judging, doesn't it?
Yeah, or either that, or there was just not a lot to judge on, potentially.
Yeah.
So if Bola, that screams rematch. Yeah, you've got to sort 100%. That shit out. So.
And Rose, obviously, Thug Rose, being such a popular champion, I'm the best, with Rogan after that win.
Yeah, she's definitely one of those fighters that was very much like mental aptitude, mental confidence is really where her strength in fighting comes from. So if she came into this maybe slightly off, then she's just a completely different fighter. She comes out with that killer mentality. That we've seen her, especially the classic "I'm the best, I'm the best" went out there and got Zhang done, and that's kind of where you think Thug Rose is, and this one maybe a little underdone for whatever reason, but screams rematch to me. Screams rematch.
Yeah, I'd agree. Yeah. Shout out to Esky contributor. I'm going to say he's a contributor. Trent Naden went on Kentucky apparently with Carla Esparza around Europe. Said she was a very boring Kentucky person because she was out there running every morning, not drinking too much, looking after her health. Well, now she's a UFC champ, so good on you, Carla Esparza, of Ecuadorian descent, I believe. So we've got the Venezuelan vixen being the champion in What's the one up from this one? Women's.
What do we do? We're talking strawweight. There's banter and there's one between
Banter,
that, which
it's
would be feathers above that.
It's banter.
I'm just trying to remember the champions. No, that's right. There's only the 3, yeah?
Yeah, there's only 3 because they scrapped.
No, that's not right. There's
3. So Shevchenko is flyweight.
Yeah.
And then there's Bantam, which is Juliana Pena, the Venezuelan vixen. And
So
then
what do we say?
featherweight's disbanded.
no one cares about there's 4. We're talking 4, aren't we?
No, I think there's 3. I think featherweight's been
Hold on. Let's see. Featherweight, no one goes. So there's bantamweight.
There's strawweight. Yeah.
And flyweight.
Yeah. So there's 3.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure featherweight has been disbanded.
Sorry. We just said banter. Fly.
Banter.
Sorry.
This is great, man.
Fly.
Yeah, this is shit banter.
Sorry. What did we say? There was fly, straw, banter, and featherweight.
Bantam.
Bantam, yeah, but that's 4.
Yeah, but
featherweight doesn't count.
featherweight's disbanded.
Yes. Well, no one fights there. It doesn't matter. Anyway, yes.
But it's still, Amanda Nunes is still the featherweight champ.
Yes.
Good chat there.
Anyway, Michael Chandon.
It's going to be fun listening back 1 year, when this podcast gets a reasonable following,
Yeah.
not enough to quit our jobs, but, enough to keep doing it. And we listen back to some of this and just go, fuck, you guys are dumb.
And then we were like, yeah, nothing's changed.
Nothing's changed.
So
Michael,
Michael,
blue whale jizz.
Michael Chandon, I can't make a segue with a joke for this. Chandler, sorry.
he's on the piss. He's on the Chandol. Michael Chandler.
Chandler sent Tony Ferguson to the shadow realm today with a front kick, made him stiff as a board.
I think a nasty front kick. This is one of those ones.
It wasn't like a Anderson Silva kind of one. It was more like a quick, hit him with the ball of the foot, and it was more like a quick short one. Hit him right on the chin,
and it was good night. I said to the misso, didn't pay for this one. Was trying to get a few, little streams coming through. I said, "You want to see someone get knocked out?" She goes, "Yeah." I said, "That's weird. I don't know how I feel about that." Yeah, so I show her.
She wobbled over and
I show her, and she just go, "Oh," like looking away, kind of.
That's bad.
Yeah, really bad.
It was a bad one.
Chandler looks absolutely fucking jacked. Tony Ferguson.
He called McGregor.
He wants to get paid.
Oh, I think Charles Oliveira also called him out.
McGregor.
They all.
Well, everyone wants a name, and that's a bit fucked as well, isn't it? In that's where this.
Yeah. Who cares about the lightweight belt? I just want
McGregor. And that's where this sport, where boxing aficionados will say, well, no, obviously this sport is all about names and yada yada. But
it's all money.
The counter is, fucking Jake Paul. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, and that's where the fight world is, I guess. It's all about names.
It's eyeballs. So
eyeballs. Tony Ferguson, I think you had a reasonable take on this in the group chat today.
Yeah.
A lot of people are saying, is he done? Is he fighting past his prime? Kind of BJ Penn kind of vibes.
He just hasn't been different since the ACL. And the Khabib, that was a big one. He was there. The ACL, the whole domestic violence saga and everything that happened in the background. Yeah, he's just like that year, the division moved past him, unfortunately. And I'm not sure if he got his record there. I think that Justin Gaethje fight where Gaethje probably should have ended it sooner, just beat the shit out of him for as many rounds as he did. I think the problem is he's in that top there. Well, look at that list, bro.
He's coming off 4.
They're all top 5 dudes.
Yeah, coming off 4 losses against absolute killers twice now to Oliveira as well as Dariush and Gaethje. So 4 in a row. Do you think he keeps going, but maybe drops down as a bit of a gatekeeper kind of guy?
If he wants to keep fighting, I don't think he can keep giving him top 5 guys at this point. He's just. I don't think he's there in that kind of talent level. I think he's got to move back and hopefully maybe work his way into it. Of course, what is he, still 36? Maybe
38. He's 38.
Sorry, I couldn't see it from here. Yeah, that's a bit getting up there. Fighters, some can go into their 40s, like Glover as the example.
Yeah.
But
Arlovsky.
But same like take Glover for example. He had to move back in the division and work his way back up. And I think that's probably what Tony needs to do. He could potentially be the gatekeeper for that top 10 for a long time if he really wants to. I don't want to be seen seeing him put in there with those top 5 guys and getting murdered constantly, I think that's not good for your long-term welfare.
That's 4 in a row. The BJ Penn thing comes to mind, and maybe that's, again, not quite the same comparison. BJ Penn, champion of the world formerly, but at the end of his career, he got tailed up a fair bit, and it's kind of like, when do you quit?
Well, you could see the same for BJ Penn. You could see the UFC had moved on in that time frame. Same with take Ronda, for example. She was on the top of the world, and her publicity moved that division to the point where it is now, where they just all move past her. The skill set just keeps evolving and getting better and better. It's hard to it's hard to stay at the top for long periods of time. So give a guy like John Jones his props for that in that regards, how he keeps refining himself. Speaking of which, I thought Shogun Hua potentially had died because you hadn't heard from him in a hot minute, and he's 45, I think.
45.
Coming up against...
that's good. It's good when you're talking about 45-year-old fighters, and we're talking about 18-year-old NRL players as well, and you think, we're in that nice middle ground where it's okay, it's all right, we haven't fucking worked out our lives just yet.
40.
Yeah. 40. Just 5 years. That makes me feel a lot worse.
Yeah. Well, he's been fighting since he's 18.
Shogun Rua, obviously synonymous with the UFC.
With pride, bro. He was 2005 Pride champion. There you go. There's some quick stats where 45. Going against
45.
In the light heavyweight division, he's undersized really for that division, realistically. But in going against a big dude. And St. Prix, I didn't think he was ever going to get a chance to win. No. By all accounts, this was a snooze fest.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and that's why I went to split decision. And I wouldn't surprise me if Shogun was a little bit gun shy in this. But hey, not unsurprising. It's been a while since the last time he'd fought. I believe, 2 years. There you go.
Dude, OSP is so much bigger than him as well.
Yes.
Good on him for taking that fight. And again, it comes back to the Oliveira. Sorry, not the Oliveira, the Chandler. Ferguson chat in is this the best decision for you in life right now? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think so for Shogun. No, let's move on from there.
What was the last fight on the main card?
So Cowboy Cerrone got cancelled because he had food poisoning overnight.
Oh, shit.
So he couldn't fight. After weighing in, of course, he couldn't fight. Whether it was food poisoning or his weight cut.
Food poisoning. The old Lionel Hutz.
Yeah.
There's food poisoning and then there's food poisoning.
So they bumped these 2 boys up, and I don't think I knew too much about these 2.
I've seen Chaos Williams before.
Yeah, okay. Losing another split decision, 3 in this one.
Definitely a cool name. He was coming off 2 wins. Goes down to Randy Brown. Randy Brown, he's not ranked, is he? Can you chase that one up, Monks? But he now has 3 wins on the trot. He's lost to Vicente Luque. Maybe he's ranked. I'm sure I can bring that one up in just a second. Obviously, you can see 3 boys that were doing Mother's Day things and didn't watch the card as it unfolded today.
Not currently ranked.
Not currently ranked, but maybe after that win.
Might be close, yeah.
Other fights that happened today, Canelo was in the boxing world. He
lost?
But I can't remember because this was a light heavyweight fight, and I have a feeling he came up for this to challenge for this belt. So,
he did. He did
have a rematch clause, so they're probably going to redo this. He lost by 2 rounds, essentially, I think, for the final scorecards, 115 to 113.
Against Dimitri Bivol,
who was the current champion.
Current champion and underdog.
Yeah,
with
big lad.
With Canelo going up, which is an absolute testament to how good a boxer Canelo Alvarez is.
Yeah, well, that's Canelo's first loss since 2013, I think, from memory. So
look at his record: 57 wins, 2 losses, 2 no contests.
His only other defeat was
39
Mayweather,
KOs.
Yeah, Floyd Mayweather was his only other.
This Bivol, he's 20-0, 11 KOs. So maybe Canelo bit off more than he could chew in this one.
And what, he held that belt since 2016? Is that what that says there?
Yes, something like that.
A version of this belt. So, as in, there's like 4 different light heavyweight belts. He's had one.
This is the problem with boxing.
Yeah. Well, it's the problem with the different associations, etc.
We should have the On The Esky belt.
Yeah.
The champion of the On The Esky world.
Worst dribbler.
No, we actually fight.
No, it's fine.
Yeah, it's a fight. There's no weight classes because there's only 3 of us.
Open weight. Old UFC days, that's what it is. No rules.
Yeah, we can all get juiced up as well.
Exactly, yeah. Kick each other's teeth out, all good.
Old UFC days.
Yeah. Biting groin shots, eye pokes, all good. Let's go, baby.
It might get some views. It might get some fucking views.
Do better than the podcast.
Well, if you're slinging steroids, get out.
We'll just go back to around your place, right?
Yeah. Careful, man. I don't want to get killed by a drug dealer.
Yeah, not his place specifically.
No. Or SWAT.
My complex.
Yeah.
You can look at that in the Canberra Times.
Yes. Fight announcements. So a big one's Volk versus Holloway, probably the biggest one. Can you find that card for me? I can't remember if it's that card or the easy one. I think July 2nd is what it's meant to be. So a quick turnaround for Volk, especially taking on someone like Holloway for the trilogy. So, of course, definitely looking forward to that. And I think they're putting together a really good-looking card for this one.
251. When are we talking?
No, that's the old one. We need to know what 3 is. Just put 3 in there. Yeah, they got set for you 276.
276.
That's on BJ Penn's website. Go just search UFC 276. Because I think they're putting together a good card. Some chat about Izzy taking on Jared Cannonero as well, but Izzy said that was...
That is definitely not his name.
It's getting late on Sunday. Cannoneer, yes.
Marge Simpson driving an SUV is fighting Israel out of Sonia.
I've got to get a Simpsons reference in there somewhere. Izzy said that was cap on Twitter, though, so I don't think anything's been booked for that. Do you have a card for that one? Scroll down.
I think
no card. Announced. There you go. Militia Tate on there. Jessica I. Maybe it's not this one. Maybe it's the Izzy card. Jared
Rose Clark, Uriah Hall.
Yeah. Robbie Law was on this. So there's this is it. Yeah. So Sean's on this one, and I think Nate Dizard versus Hazmat's meant to be on this too.
Oh, I did hear rumors of that.
You again,
Hamzat, sorry.
He's not a hazmat suit.
Hazmat suit, yes. Hamzat.
He's not someone that's going into deep clean COVID infected room.
Yeah, in Shanghai.
How good's the last 30 minutes of a podcast?
Or just get loose, bro. That's the best bit. So I think that Nate had been begging for a fight, etc., etc. So the UFC said, "Fine, fuck you. Have Hamzat there and get your ass punched in."
Nate is crazy for taking this fight. To be honest,
yeah,
like he's achieved so much, but that's a killer, man.
I think there was some leak. There was a picture of the card in the back of someone's like media leak or something from one of the UFC bigwigs. So I'm not sure if that's official. That was on there, and that's been the chat. So they're still working on that one. Still working on the Izzy fight, but some big cards coming up in the next couple of months. And Paul Gallen's fighting some Australian heavyweight that no one knows about on Wednesday.
Jake Paul, Sonny Bill Williams.
Yep, that's one.
Is that happening?
Just back on this Gallen fight card. We've also got Nikita Tsu and Harry Garside both fighting.
Yeah, Sue's fighting on that. That's in Australia. Why is Sue fighting in Australia again?
Coming home, etc.
Yeah. Anyway, it's in Australia.
Yeah.
Everyone's talking about Paul Gallen, which is disappointing.
Yeah, pretty much. When you mentioned Floyd Mayweather,
he's got an exhibition fight in a couple of weeks.
In a few weeks' time against Don Moore as well. So he must be running out of money or something.
Yeah. And Sonny Bill, is that happening?
It's not confirmed. Sonny Bill has vowed apparently to hand Jake Paul his first loss, but nothing confirmed.
Yeah, I heard about these hit lists because this was like Old news, unfortunately for us, 2 weeks ago. Tommy Fury, Anderson Silva. Michael Bisman was on that list as well. Michael Bisman got stuck into Jake Paul about how he's useless, etc., etc.
Really?
Yeah.
I think the biggest name probably was Eddie Hearn, like the boxing promoter. He was Jake Paul's not a real fighter.
Yeah.
Not a real boxer.
Yeah. Anderson Silva
if
makes
he wants to prove himself, like Sonny Bill Williams is the guy that he needs to fight to sort of legitimize himself.
Yeah, and if he wants a legend,
boxer.
like UFC legend's got a name, Anderson Silva's actually doing boxing now. So,
How old's Anderson these days? We were talking about 45 before. He might actually be 45.
46.
Let's have a look. An old Google knows.
Old Wikipedia's.
47.
Yeah. Jeez. 46 a month ago. That was close enough.
You were very close.
Yeah.
Still would not want to fight him.
No.
And turn it into boxing.
No.
And yeah, I don't. For like a size matchup with Jake Paul, that's a good one.
I wouldn't want to fight a dead former champion of the world. Just that their spirit might come and claim me.
Ooh, is there one in the UFC? I don't think there is.
Boxing, I imagine.
Boxing, definitely.
That's what we're talking about, isn't it?
Yeah, well, currently, yes.
Yeah. Anyways, bit of dribble. Is that it for fights?
Yes, that's all the news in the fighting world currently.
Stay tuned for the Esky, the Esky belt, the one official.
Yeah, the spicy, juicy belt.
The unified belt. Oh, goodness.
Of all the sauce.
Yeah, with us all on steroids. And we still look the same. All right, F1
Actually,
boys.
you'd be the funniest because you'd be super top heavy and no carbs.
They're the hardest muscle to grow. Yeah. Shout out to any skinny calf boys out there. It's genetics, man. You can train them fucking 5 times a week. Seriously. All right.
Trust me, I tried.
I tried my best. F1. What is happening?
Race tomorrow, 5:30 our time.
Miami, bitch.
Miami, first time there. All the NFL and NBA stars turning out for it. Lando Norris is wearing a helmet that looks like a basketball. So it looks the top view looks like a basketball player, like a basketball driving a Formula 1 car. Hilarious. And I think Danny Rick's got some form of
Ace Ventura.
Yeah, Ace Ventura helmet.
Inspiration for his helmet.
So they're enjoying it a little bit. There's been the whole hoopla about the rules with jewelry, etc. And Lewis showing up with 3 watches, 20 chains, all the rings, and then Seb protesting global warming, and then also wearing his undies on the outside of his.
Yeah, the backstory to that is there is a rule in the FIA.
Keep going.
Yeah, there is a rule in the FIA where like there's regulations around not being able to wear jewelry
in the car. I think someone was caught with they were just wearing a chain necklace. And I don't think it was Lewis as well. There was a couple of them. They caught him and they were like, well, in a car crash, you probably don't want that to get caught on anything.
Yeah.
They're thinking players will driver safety in this for this one. So
and by all and by all accounts, like Lewis was like, well, if you're going to enforce this rule, I'm just going to sit out. Like, we've got drivers ready. I don't have to race. Probably talking a little bit to how he feels, again, about his championship chances. And then part of that directive from the race director was also there's going to be some compliance checks around the underwear that drivers were wearing because, again, making sure that it's all resistant to fire, which I think is what the jewelry was about as well. Can't
wear their G-strings while they're racing cars at 300 kilometres an hour.
That's it, yeah. So in protest to that, I guess...
I don't think it matters. I guess if you're wearing a fireproof suit, that should cover most of it. But if it goes through the suit, you probably want to protect your pecker. So fireproof undies maybe helps a little bit as well.
Yeah. So to that, Seb was walking down pit lane with his undies outside of his his shirt.
Yeah. Anyway, a lot of big stars, a lot of big names. Michelle Obama, George Lucas. Throw a few out there while I am. I feel bad for Ted Kravitz, who's going to have to walk pit lane and talk to all these superstars, and they have absolutely no fucking idea who he is or what he's trying to do for the broadcast.
Don't even know what
anyway, Ferrari finished 1-2. Max is third. Ferrari very, very quick in this. Red Bull, of course, second row. So it's still those two teams competing.
Science was actually pretty lucky. He had a pretty big crash.
Yeah, and so did
in
Ocon
practice.
into that wall.
Yeah.
They're all right.
All
There's
right, yeah.
some complaints, of course. There's been the first race there that wall specifically was concrete wall. There's no what they call Tech Pro, which is the crash. Specially designed crash safety barrier they use for Formula One, which a lot of the tracks employ nearly all the way around the track. This one, concrete wall. Ocon's crash, 51 Gs was the lateral load. There was, which is a lot.
That's the same as Verstappen's in Silverstone, where Hamilton took him out.
Yeah, and that wasn't a solid concrete wall.
51 G. I didn't even know went that to that many. Yeah. That's crazy.
It's a lot. To the point it cracked the frame of Ocon's car, so which removed him from qualifying. That makes it, of course, very hard for. Cracking a frame in a Formula One car, considering the amount of engineering and money that goes into it, kind of shows the impact. So, see what happens race-wise. Our boy Danny Rick, 14th. Lewis was 6th. Lando, 5th or 8th?
Lando was 8th
in the end, yeah. Who was 5th? Oh, Valtteri, that's right. Yeah. Out-qualifying both the Mercedes in this one with George Russell in 12th. So, good race. We'll have to see what the track is like tomorrow. I think probably the biggest storyline was the fake pool, fake harbour.
Yeah. So this track, which they're calling a street track, has been purpose built in the car park of Hard Rock Stadium where the Dolphins play.
Really?
Yeah. So they've made this track. It sort of wraps around I don't know if it wraps around the stadium, but a lot of it is a car park in the stadium.
Great
and so
question.
to make that, I guess that atmosphere, they've built a little fake dock with a whole heap of yachts backed onto it.
Like it's probably vinyl wrapped fake water they've laid down. And I think Ted actually tried swimming in it during the practice sessions. So to show you what it looks like. But
is this what the Romans did in the Colosseum? And they
no idea. But look, that's
ancient history chat. I'm pretty sure they put water in it once and had a naval battle in there.
Yeah, but it was real water. This is fake water.
This is fake. Those boats are cut in half.
It's on concrete.
So what the fuck is that?
It's just all fake.
No, it's all fake.
You can walk the water. You can literally.
They're just trying to get that Monaco sort of
walks on water.
Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, it's better than being in the car park of the Dolphin Stadium, is I think what the chat is.
It is kind of cool though, because I think that one of the spectator areas they did have the pools. Yeah. I guess you see at the Jag Stadium where spectators can sit in the pool and watch the race and all that sort of stuff. So
it's like paint on the concrete.
Some sort of paint or vinyl or something.
Well, yeah, they've put something down essentially to make it look like water. So
yeah,
pretty cool.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think they've just
looks cool but stupid at the same point.
But you go
just spent all this money on nothing.
No, you can go have a booze cruise and have no danger of drowning.
So
just hit your head on the concrete
car park.
To answer the question,
half a box down, cannonball.
To answer your question on does it go around the stadium, the answer is no and yes. So for those listening, it kind of goes around all the way past the stadium, comes back past the stadium and around that side. And
so it's fucking long.
It's a long
track.
Yeah.
And considering one of the stretches is 1.2.
Yeah, the back straight looks
1 to 2K, sorry.
Yeah, huge. And then the other side, which really isn't a straight, but it only has one kind of corner, it'd be a high-speed corner in it anyway. So, it looks like a pretty fast race track. At least maybe, let's say there's going to be at least 1 or 2, potentially 3 good overtaking spots in that. But we'll have to see how it plays out when they get all 20 cars racing on it.
Yeah, I think they've said that the corners towards the end of the
how many DRS? 2 zones?
Hopefully
2 zones. Should tell you right there on that screen.
There are 3 DRS zones.
Ooh, tasty.
But I think.
Let's hope it doesn't rain in Miami.
Hopefully not. I think they've said corners 11 through to 16 is going to be very hard to sort of overtake. It is very much sort of street circuity.
Yeah,
with tight corners. So I reckon, it's going to be potentially very hard to overtake there. hopefully some of the other zones or areas you can overtake. Otherwise, it's just going to be a procession.
Well, hoping for a good race, first one in Miami, and hoping for a good result for our boy Ricardo.
He's got some ground to make up.
Yeah, he's been struggling a little bit so far this season. We'll see how the race plays out. Do you want to pull up the EPL table and finish there?
I've just got a weather update in Miami because you can do that. And if you're considering gambling on things, you should probably look at it. Miami, 25 and sunny. That's in Celsius, by the way.
Beautiful weather. For
not sure what it is in
hit the table
yardsticks and Trump toupees.
Table. Yeah, give me.
Yeah.
EPL, just quickly.
Liverpool
drew overnight with Tottenham. And it was a late equaliser actually for Liverpool. Tottenham, by all accounts, could have come away with a win there. So that means that both teams are equal on points, but City have a game in hand. That all crucial game in hand. So a big swing, I suppose, in terms of the championship outlook.
Chelsea, with 4 games to go.
They're fine.
They should be, but Arsenal, they've gone draw, lost, draw, whereas Arsenal have won 3 straight.
Yeah, Arsenal, I think, should solidify that fourth spot, considering they're a game in hand against Spurs. But Spurs nipping at their heels. If Spurs had come away with the win there, geez, we might be talking about something different.
Hammers are out of it, I think, from here. So it's whether United can pull some games back.
No,
I think they're
I think they're officially dusted.
Yeah, I think those 5.
They are officially dusted because they've played 37.
Oh, 30, yes. Yeah, I'm sorry, I should say that. Yeah, they've only got 1 game left.
You see what happened last night? They lost to Brighton.
Oh my god,
4-0. 4-0.
Wow.
Well,
and I was trying to work out how much Brighton is worth compared to Man United. I can only see what the owners were worth. I think the owners was like 6 billion versus 1 billion. But I'm sure in terms of revenue, at a conservative estimate, I would say Brighton is worth 20, 30, 40 times less than United. Pretty dismal.
With cash in the
pretty dismal
in the coffers. Oh, definitely.
Yeah. So look, they finished 6th, I guess. Look, not the end of the world, I suppose.
Yeah, they've locked into 6, and we'll have to figure out.
But having said that, the amount of money, bringing Ronaldo back, the amount of hype, the hype around this year, definitely disappointing for any Manchester United fans around the world.
You lads thought they were going to win the Premier League.
I thought bringing Ronaldo in and still having that core there. Oh, poor Harry Maguire, the captain, he's been under a lot of scrutiny. When you get good Pogba, it's unreal. When you get lazy or absent Pogba, you get that. I don't know, and it's a capitulation of a year. Look at the last 5 games there for United. Loss, draw, win, loss. So when it counted, just couldn't do much.
Yeah.
Regulation chat?
Yes, go down to the teams getting regulated.
Well, I think shout out to Burnley. They've, besides their 3 wins in a row, they lost their last one. But Everton won their last one though, so
the Toffees could be in danger.
They're definitely there. They've got a game in hand, but they are a game behind points wise to Leeds, who have actually fallen down a little bit there as well, with Burnley winning a couple of games. So Toffees, Everton in trouble.
There's 5 teams in danger: Burnley, Leeds, Everton, and then Watford and Norwich are confirmed gone.
They're done.
So essentially, there's 3 teams that we're still looking at in Burnley, Leeds, and Everton.
Everton a big loss.
Haven't been relegated for 70-something years, I believe. We've spoken about this before.
We have.
Yep. Finished with the cricket score. Where are we at in the IPL? Coley got. What did they finish with?
RCB turned it on, so they actually end up making 192. So we thought they were a little bit unders on their run rate with 15 to go. Dinesh Karthik,
30 from 8.
30 from 8, goes out there and hits 4 sixes.
192
and a 4 from 8 balls. Strike rate 375, if you don't mind. And you know what my favourite thing? You know what my favourite thing from this game is?
Game Williams had gone duck.
Oh my goodness!
And I think
Diamond duck.
I think Maxi's bowling as well.
Jesus Christ! I wish we put. I wish we went over here a minute ago. Can you go back? Can you hit the 15 seconds back a couple of times?
Yeah.
You know my favourite thing about this game? Away kit. Yeah. Away kit.
Must have been a screamer.
We've been screaming for away kits. There's so many teams.
Run out. There you go.
Yeah. Well, that's the only way you can get a diamond duck. Geez, fucking buy a bee's dick there. Kane Williamson gets run out.
Jeez.
So RCB, they've got like a lime green, dark blue kind of kit. Keeps the gold helmet. So ruling is but you need to have something over the line. Yeah. So that's on the line.
Yeah.
See you, Kane Williamson.
Maybe potentially a millimetre over, but the ball's already gone past the wicket and gone it. So, yeah. Can't break it down any further than that. Yeah, gone.
Yep. Kane Williamson falls short by the length of my dick. Quite short.
A bee's dick.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I think we'll finish.
I know what you're getting at.
Yeah. Thank you to anyone that has listened.
Made it through to that joke.
Yeah. May God have mercy on your soul.
3 hours, G.
What are we at? Where are we at? Next week, we will have a F1 Miami result. We'll have more insight into where these NBA teams are at. We'll have Magic Round, the review.
Yeah.
It's a fortnight away, and it is a fortnight from the next episode of On The Esky Dribble.
Lots of AFL, IPL potentially done.
IPL,
done by then?
in 2 weeks' time, yep.
So we'll be in the finals for them?
We'll be close to that.
EPL pretty close to being done as well.
Hockey, man, yeah. We're talking about hockey.
I think they'll be in the second round by then. They're doing the first round at the moment.
And we won't know anything about it.
Yeah.
No.
Nope.
Yeah. Well, you guys missed the Mets getting their 7-run 9th innings to win their game. For some random fact. Yeah. Anyway, it's late here. We're putting everyone else to sleep. I think that will do us. Thank you, lads. As always, check out the socials. We're all over the place. Give us a like, follow, comment, share, whatever.
We're all over the place.
We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Yes, we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Cheers.
Yeah. Goodbye. Dunzo.